Alright guys, so we are here today. We have Alibaba dropping earnings early this morning. I think I bought a little bit of Alibaba the other day. I'm down on it, but still green on the day. Yesterday it was such a green day, it doesn't matter. But yeah, we got Alibaba quarter 3 earnings, Uber earnings. Let's think about what kind of poll we want to do. What's up, Beach? What's up, Mac? We're starting to stream a little bit early just because today's a pretty big earnings day, you know. I don't know if you can hear the music. You should be able to. Baba is expecting. Baba's expecting 272 EPS on 36.69 billion. It's scheduled to report at 6:45 a.m. Palantir still with a beautiful day. Palantir almost up to $22 a share. So we're in this. Let's hope it goes up. Man, it's such a green day yesterday. We'll take it. Drinking my coffee. Alright, good. Yeah, so Baba's scheduled for 6:45. We don't know when it's going to drop. It's scheduled for 6:45. Uber is scheduled for 6:55. Rblx scheduled for 8. CVS also releasing. XPO, Hilton. And that's basically all the big ones. Snapchat disappointed me, of course, yesterday. I'm thinking about adding to it, though. I mean, again, to put it into perspective, like, I bought Snapchat, wrote it up, sold, and then I held a little bitty piece, and like that's what I'm in still, is a little bitty piece. Like, it's certainly not the whole position. And so now that we're dipping back down, part of me wants to buy some more, which I guess I will. I gotta wait, I think, until after 6 to buy this, though. It's not gonna let me buy it until after 6, and that's okay, I guess. Tesla did bounce back some yesterday, up to almost 187, so that's good, I guess. Good, as long as you can hear my music, that's good. Hit the like button. We're gonna do a poll. Will Baba beat or miss? Vote on that poll. It'll be a quick poll. We're not gonna keep it super long. All right. You're up early, I know, man. Listen, that's what we do. The reason we're up early today. Number one, we got stuff we got to do today. Number two is that we're up early, but we also we're up early, but we also we have big earnings this morning, right? So we've got Alibaba, Uber, Roblox earnings all dropping this morning. So it's a pretty big day for earnings. So I also have stuff I got to do, early this morning with Carol. So, that's why we're up. Alright guys, so again, the interesting one, look, there's Baba, there's Palantir. We gotta wait for Uber, Roblox, Baba to report. We are getting some moves up in pre-market for some of my equities portfolio. Looks like it's Tesla mostly helping me out. Alright guys, so leave me in the chat right now whether you think Alibaba is going to beat or miss this morning. 68% think they're going to beat, 32% think they're going to miss. Let me check social media this morning and see what's going on. So I'm in Disney right now. My average price in Disney is like $90. Disney's up to like $98. Part of me thinks I'm gonna lock in some of this profit ahead of earnings. There's some. Let me lock in half of this position of profit. Yeah, I'll have to wait until after the. Okay, so I'm just gonna set these up. I gotta wait for after the 6 o'clock level anyway. Yeah, Snapchat dumpster fire yesterday. I'll have to add to that one too. So right now the plan once the opening bell happens. All right, look at Uber. Uber might have just released. They had a big gap down. Let me see. I don't think they're... Yeah, nothing else. Nothing else has dropped for earnings this morning yet. So, yeah, Bob is scheduled to report in 20 minutes. How do you trade before or after market? What do you mean, like after market hours? So you mean like in in extended hours trading, like pre-market and after hours? To trade in pre-market and after hours, you basically have to use limit orders. There's less liquidity. And so you're not going to be able to market in and market out safely is the reason why they do that. I think an example of this would be like if you try to market in something. Market orders are designed to give you an immediate fill at the best possible price, right? So basically there's no ceiling in terms of like how bad of a fill you can get with a market order if the liquidity is really, really low. And in that regard, you want to be really careful when you use them if you're entering periods of time with low liquidity and high spreads. On the other side of that, limit orders are designed to fill you at that specific limit price or better, regardless of how long it takes, right? I mean, they're supposed to fill you right away, but if they can, but limit orders are designed to fill you at that specific price or better. So they're much more strict with regards to price. And so basically, I guess the point is like if you go around pre-market, there's going to be a lot of huge spreads on stocks. There goes Baba dumping down to 76. CVS is out with their numbers. Baba just released. So Baba numbers are out. Baba's out. They posted revenue of 36.669 or they posted revenue of 36.69 billion for Baba, 36.669. So a little bit under than expected revenue for Baba. Income from operations was 3.171 billion. I'm trying to look at EPS if I could find it. Non-GAAP diluted EPS was 267 versus 272. So Baba missed on everything. I'm not sure why they're up. They posted a miss on EPS, a miss on revenue. 267 versus 267. Revenue of 36.69, 36.41. Okay, so it shows they're beating here, which the numbers I had showed a miss for Baba, but I'm okay with that because I'm in Baba. It's gapping up. Here's Baba numbers right here. So Baba is out with their numbers, and Baba gapping up. CVS also recently reported here. CVS posted 212 versus 219 expected. We'll put this number up in the chat. But yeah, Baba up to 78. You love to see it. We'll see if it continues. All right, so Baba going very nicely green. Baba all the way up to 78.70. 79.20 is the high from after hours. Again, CVS did report. Palantir finally pulling back a little bit. Uber still not out with theirs yet. They're scheduled to release later. I mean, okay, so the expectations can vary. The expectations that I had were different than the ones that I'm showing on screen that are being reported. And that's okay. It doesn't mean they're wrong necessarily. I think the reason they're going up is because the board approved a $25 billion share buyback program, and buyback programs typically bump price of stock up. Like, buyback programs typically help the stock, and I think that's what's going on. Is Baba announced a buyback, the board approved $25 billion share buyback program, so that's why they're doing it well. And I'm for it. I mean, I'm in Baba right now. I'm profiting from this move on the upside, so I will take it. Yeah, Baba, ramp it up, guys. Over $80 a share. All right, guys, we're at 81.20s. 81.20s. All right, so Baba almost up to $82 a share after announcing a $25 billion or 25 billion share buyback program. Craziness. A lot of people talking about a GameStop run. I hope it does. I'm in GameStop. I hope it runs. You know? Yeah, 25 billion share buyback. Again, I'm reading their report too. You know, Baba, Q3 adjusted EPS 267, revenue slightly higher than what I'm showing now was the expected number. They said the top priority is to reignite growth of core businesses, e-commerce, and cloud computing. So, yeah. Baba ripping up. Looks good, up to almost $82 a share, team. There's 82, just broke 82s. Man, that's a huge run. I mean, this is a quick run for Baba. That's a big move. You love to see it. We bought it a couple days ago. I'm glad we did, of course, because, I mean, it's doing this. So, I'm glad it's doing this for sure. Hopefully it continues, but... All right, so it's right under 82 now. We still got to watch Uber. CBS reported. We got Palantir on the right side. Palantir down a little bit this morning, but it's just been on a crazy run. But yeah, there's Baba at 82.40s that are the new highs, just under $82. Yeah, all good. Probably, Mike. Probably. Again, I'm in Snapchat, and my average is really nice for Snapchat. At least it was prior to yesterday. My average is still pretty good. I mean, we're still up 25%. My average is 920s for Snapchat. It's at 12. So it's still a pretty good average. But I had already scaled out of a lot of this trade for Snapchat. Let me see when I got out of it. It's been a while since I scaled out. I got in Snapchat in August, and I think that was after I've already taken some off. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so this is what happened. I got into my original snap trade. That was like my full-time position in August. Right around August 23rd is when I got in Snapchat. August 23rd of 2023. Snapchat, I got in at a price of $9.27. And it was a decent amount of shares. Over the next, Snapchat up to 82, or Baba up to 82.50. Over the next like 6 months or whatever, I ended up scaling out. I took my first profit on it when it hit 10.50s 11 in October. I took a little bit more off when it hit 13s and 14s in November and December. And then I stayed on the rest of the position until, today, which now it's gapping down to $12, but my average price is 9.20s. So we're losing a little bit from this dip, but it's not the worst drop in the world. We'll probably add back to it based off of everything. But man, Baba almost up to $83 a share. Again, $25 billion share buyback program is what's making them go up. Yeah, and the position I'm in right now is so small for Snapchat. Like, I mean, the average is very pretty, and so that's a nice thing to look at. But I'm not gonna let that influence. I'll probably buy a little bit more. My swing trades have been very good lately. I think, like I've gotten into a lot of really nice swing trades. One of them, Baba. I'm in Baba right now. I'm holding Baba. Apple has been treating me very well. I sized into Apple a week ago. Average price in Apple's 182s. It's at almost 190 basically right now. ARM, I got in ARM in IPO day at 63. It's at 73s. Amex at 144 average. It's at 205s, 206. Boeing, finally green but flat mostly. Baba again, nicely in Baba. I got in Baba at 77. It's now at 81s, 82s. Chewy, we're now effectively green on Chewy. We're green on Delta. We're green on Disney. We're losing on Etsy. We're in Etsy, but we're down. We're in Ford. We're green on Ford. Currently losing on Gold. In GameStop, but we're down on GameStop. We're in Google really nicely, and we're green. Our average price is 125s. It's at 146 almost. Home Depot, average price is 292. It's at 356s. Honeywell, nice average there, green. Coca-Cola, we're green. MGM, we're green. Microsoft, we're green. Our average price on Microsoft is 312s. These aren't all swing trades. Like some of these are longer term investments. It depends on what you would classify as investments. Most of these positions are positions I've bought over the last year. I usually take profit pretty quickly, add back pretty freely in this as well. So, all right, so there's Baba pulling back. Again, Baba ripping up on their buyback, 25 billion share buyback. Bro, I almost bought a chunk of snap calls yesterday. It looked really good to the upside. Yeah, I mean, buying up big positions ahead of earnings is usually risky. I only do it if it's a company that I think is down a lot. Like, if it's a company like Baba's just had a tough few years, And so I don't mind buying Baba in that regard, just because if you look at a daily chart, like, it's down a lot. It's got some upside potential, in my opinion. So I buy small enough shares to where even if it does terribly for earnings, it's not going to be the end of the world. That's how I buy stuff. But I didn't buy this yesterday. I think I bought, let me see, when did I buy this? Okay, actually I did buy it yesterday. But yeah, these are companies. These are companies that I'm okay with buying. But it's certainly not everyone. All right, so Baba back up. Uber testing lows down to 69s here. I don't think Uber's out yet, but we did have CVS post 212 EPS on 199, expected revenue of 93.8 bill. They expected 90.4. So CVS beat EPS in revenue. Am I in CVS? No, I'm not. I'm in Walgreens, and we're actually slightly green on Walgreens. No, Uber's not out yet. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what most social media platforms were. All right, so Kathy Wood joining Palantir. ARK gets in 43 million stock following 30% earnings spike. All right, so still under 81 for Baba. Liver King, man. The problem with the Liver King, bro, is that he was obviously on so much juice, dude. Like, I have a problem with the Liver King for this reason, right? He's on so much juice. And then he's going around selling supplements like somehow the supplements make him look like that. It's like, bro, you are just juicing to the gills, man. Like, you've got so much steroids. Like, it's ridiculous, man. That's like me cheating on a math test and then going around offering, you know, tutoring lessons in math. You know, it's the same thing. It's like cheating on a math test and then offering my tutoring services for math. How much will Baba go up today? It's just under $81 a share. No, he's still alive. Yeah, for whatever reason, Snapchat has like this huge following of people that absolutely hate it. Like, Snapchat's got a bunch of people that absolutely hate it. And you can hate Snapchat as long as you don't hate me for buying it. You know? Like, I've made money on it so far. As long as you don't hate me for buying Snapchat, we're cool. But, you know, a lot of people, they can't separate themselves from the stocks they hate. And so, or people from the stocks they hate. So, like, if they hate a stock and I'm like, hey, I'm buying that stock, they're like, oh. You know, they get weird. And to be fair, the Snapchat haters stock price wise have been wildly wrong so far. You know, they were telling me it was weak at $8 a share. And so, I guess after maybe the earnings, they were right. Yeah, but that's kind of what every social media platform does, especially in its early days, right? Like, early social media companies are very strict in that regard. Usually they loosen up over time. Crypto legislation is what they're pushing for. All right, guys. Man, politics is even getting into the poker world. Daniel Migranu and yeah, there's just a lot of poker players arguing about politics, foreign policy, all that stuff. It's terrible, bro. Leave politics out of poker, everybody here. What do y'all think Disney earnings are going to do tomorrow? We have Coinbase earnings in a few weeks. According to Ed Yardeni, the U.S. economy is likely headed for another roaring 20s of rapid growth. If you don't know the context he means that under, right? Roaring 20s is what preceded the 1929 stock market crash. If that makes sense, right? So, like, market ripped up in the 20s. Everybody was investing. Think of, like, the Great Gatsby, like, setup, right? Where stock markets, you know, stockbrokers are super wealthy and throwing lavish parties and the economy's booming and, like, the market's ripping up. And again, then in 1929, the check came. And so, yeah, again, some economists expecting that to happen. Baba up to almost 81s here. Baba almost up to 81s. We're still waiting on Uber earnings to drop. Yeah, 25 billion buyback, making it rip up. Yeah, but I think it's a different thing, though, Jay. Jay says it's not cheating. It certainly is cheating. If you're referencing Liver King, it's certainly cheating, brother. Like, it's incredibly dishonest, right? Like, you can't pump yourself full of steroids, which, again, I'm not even judging you if you do. Like, do whatever you want to do. I'm not mad at. Like, people can do it. I'm a true believer in being able to do whatever you want to do as long as it's not hurting somebody else, right? But the problem is it's dishonest. You know, like, he knows that by doing steroids and making himself look a certain way through steroids, right? Like, we could say, oh, well, he still had to put in the work. Sure, but his gains came 2 to 3 times faster. And so doing that and then selling supplements based off of those supplements making you look like you did, when everybody independent from him understands that, like, those supplements aren't really doing much. Like, what's making them look like that is steroids, is incredibly dishonest. And then to go around telling people that you're natty so that you could sell more supplements is just a terrible thing to do. You know, I mean, but this is coming from the top 3 most honest YouTubers in the world right now, you know. So, I mean, listen. CVS is already out with their numbers, and they did beat, I believe. CVS posted 212 EPS versus 199 expected. Revenue of 93.8, expected 90.4. So, beat on EPS and revenue. All right, guys. Uber looks like they're out. Let's see if they are. So Uber drops. I'm pretty sure they're out. Uber posted fourth quarter revenue of $9.9 billion. $9.9 billion for Uber versus $9.7 billion expected. So a beat on revenue. I'm looking for their EPS. Fourth quarter net revenue at $1.4 billion. They posted EPS of 66 cents. Uber killed it. They did great. I'm surprised they're not up more. They posted 66-cent EPS profit versus 17-cent expected. Revenue of 9.94 versus 9.76. So they beat everything for Uber. Uber killed it for their earnings. I'm surprised they're not up more. Here's Uber's numbers right here in chat. We'll put those up. But Uber is out. Pro arm wrestling has a massive problem with roids. Yeah, I mean, so does jiu-jitsu. Like, jiu-jitsu is there's a big problem with, I mean, it's not a problem. I'm okay with letting people do whatever they want to do as long as it's not hurting anybody else. The thing about it, though, with jiu-jitsu is that everybody in pro jiu-jitsu does it, right? Like, everybody, like, the best grappler in the world is a guy named Gordon Ryan. That man is juiced to the gills, bro. That dude is full of it. Like, he is obviously doing it, and he's not really but I can respect him because he admits to doing it. And basically what he says is that everybody's doing it. Like, everybody's doing it. My opponents are doing it, and so I'm gonna do whatever I can to win. And so I can't really get mad at that. Anyway, fourth quarter sales at $9.9 billion versus $9.76 billion expected for Uber. Fourth quarter trips up 24%. Fourth quarter gross bookings up 19%. Gross bookings grew 22% year over year to $37.6 billion. Net cash provided by operating activities came in at $823 million. Free cash flow for Uber is at $768 million. A really, really nice earnings report here. Really, really nice earnings report for Uber. Beats in everything. Optimistic booking numbers. Optimistic cash flow numbers. Or optimistic cash holdings. Growth overseas and in other countries. Monthly active platform users are up. Freight gross bookings were stable. Yeah. So again, supply trends continue to improve in fourth quarter with active drivers up 30% year over year in Uber and driver engagement up 10% year over year for Uber. So not bad here, team. Not bad. No, I got something I got to do today, Marcus. We were going to stream Snap earnings, but we looked back on Snap earnings and realized that we just didn't have that big of a... Like, Snap just not big enough as a company to really stream earnings like that. I might think about buying Uber, although Uber is up a lot over the past few weeks. You know, Uber has had one of the best years I've seen a stock have. Uber opened up the year at 30s. It's now at 70s. So... It's up well over 100%. Palantir starting to push up too at 21.75. So we're in Palantir. Baba killed it with earnings, doing great up here at over $80 a share. And stocks are doing pretty good this morning. Uber is... Yeah, I mean, Uber's right here. Yeah, they're posting profit. They posted a profitable EPS, so they're green. Yeah, Alibaba's been out. Alibaba numbers are right here. They came in line with EPS, beat sales and revenue slightly, and improved a 25 billion share buyback, which is making them bump. We'll see if it holds though. But yeah, Uber is out. Again, you can kind of see Uber. So that's all the big boys this morning. Here's Uber. Good morning, team. Yeah, y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right, so we're going to end this poll because Uber's already out with them numbers. All right, so there's 6 o'clock. We're going to take some positions now. We're going to take a little bit off on Disney because we can. We're up so much in Disney. We're going to take, a little bit off there. Keep maybe half of the position or so, roughly. We're going to add to Snapchat this morning. I'm not telling you to copy me. I don't know what you should do. Again, I'm not an investment professional. I certainly don't live off of my profits and trading in any way. We're going to add a Snap, establish a little position there. There was something else that I wanted to buy. Bob is up really nicely. I think I'm just going to sit in it, though. I don't think I'm going to take any profit there. Just because I'm optimistic that Bob is going to continue bouncing into the future. I might be wrong there, though. But I'm optimistic in it, so we'll see what happens there. Baba came in line with EPS, beat revenue, and announced a 25 billion buyback. So we're gonna do another poll here. Does the market close green? Yeah, definitely top 3 surest unsure traders in the world right now. He's got a library in his office and a Rolex. Yeah, but none of that was bought with trading profits. 0 of that was bought with trading profits. Uber going red. Uber's bouncing a little bit. Uber's up too much for me to be super interested in buying it, though. It really is. Like, it's up too much. I might buy a little bit more to Baba, though, down here. Like, we got a good average. I'm just going to keep playing with it. Alright. We're just going to add a little position, a little extra position here, just because we can. I like Baba. Its revenue was higher than expected on my end, but I do see it varying. Palantir finally starting to dip. Nvidia still at 678. What a crazy time. Anything else big today? Oh, we got Rblx still dropping today. So Rblx releases earnings this morning too. So they're scheduled to drop theirs at 8 o'clock for Rblx, 8 o'clock. Alright. So we had Baba. Uber is out. So Uber just released. Uber actually cracking down a little bit. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Give me some ideas, guys. I don't like to necessarily copy off of the chat, but something I do like to do is hear the chat's ideas on potentially stop. Like this is what I'm looking for. All right, so throw me out some ideas, and I'll tell you if I like it or not. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for blue chip, healthy companies, legacy companies, companies that have been around for a long time, and that are profitable companies that are overextended to the downside over the last 3 months to a year. You know, last 3 months to 3 to 6 months. A year's a little bit too long. When we start downtrending for a year, that's kind of a bad sign. But let me know if you have any companies like that. I'm holding a lot of blue chip companies, of course, already. You guys know my portfolio, but yeah. Again, we had Palantir earnings a few days ago. Uber's out with their numbers. They did pretty good. Uber did pretty solid. Alright, so we'll see what everything else gives us. Here, give me the symbol, not the name. I think I'm in Pfizer already. And it's a little bit too volatile for me. I'm in it already, though. C3 AI. Yeah, I like C3. The problem is that it's not down that much. I mean, I guess it is down a little bit. Especially relative to the other AI stocks. That's an option. We'll think about it. Rblx, though. Yeah, Rblx is down. It's only down since like mid-December though, so it hasn't been down. It's not down enough for me to consider it super extended. I'm in PayPal already. My average on PayPal is 51.40s. So IBM, I don't know enough about IBM as a company, and it's up way too much over the last year. Teladoc, there's no way I'm buying Teladoc. And again, I appreciate the offer of it, but the problem with Teladoc is that I think that technology is going to be saturated. I think that it was big, it's hyped up. I think there's a lot of competitors to Teladoc right now. Like Amwell, there's a bunch of different competitors to Teladoc. And I think that those type of, any company that got really big during the 2020, lockdown period, especially tech companies like ScreenShare, streaming, conferencing software, I don't trust those companies at all, because most of them were really extended. Most of them were simply way up way too much over those periods of time. Like if we look at Teladoc here, just as an example, right? Uber battling that previous closing price. If we look at Teladoc and we put up a weekly chart, this thing, like most of these companies, were simply up way too much during the pandemic, and they were overpriced. They just were never going to hold this valuation, and so a lot of people are stuck from really high spots in these companies that they've been holding for years, and they're desperate for them to come up, and so that affects people's bias, and it's just not something I want to buy. You can see another example of it in like Peloton, PTON, same type of thing. Got really extended during the 2020 stuff. Same type of chart. Chart looks almost exactly the same because it's a very similar story. But yeah, point is, I'm not really interested in those. They're just, again, they were 2020 stocks that were overhyped for a period. Tell me how Lyft is up more than Uber. I mean, Lyft is not really. Lyft is kind of flat. Lyft was up a lot yesterday. Nike, McDonald's. I'm in Nike. I'm not in McDonald's though, but I'm in Nike. I'm red on Nike, believe it or not. McDonald's. It's not down enough. Carvana's too volatile for me. You know, this thing was at 640s at the beginning of the year. It's now at $50 almost. Like, it's just too extended up there, too volatile. Maybe it makes big moves on the upside, but I think it's more probable that we're going to get a correction to the downside in CVNA versus an upside move. But maybe I'm wrong there. SoFi, I'm in SoFi already. So I'm in SoFi. AT&T. Yeah, I know they pay a good divvy. The problem with AT&T is this, all right? So here's the real problem, and this is the problem I have. I've talked about the same kind of concept with Dish on Demand and like a lot of these companies that are battling obsolescence, right? Like a lot of these companies are going obsolete, you know, so obsolescence is a real potential thing for some of these companies. I don't necessarily think AT&T. I just think they're going to lose margins because people don't need to lock themselves into long contracts anymore. Prepaid is rampant now. Competitors are rampant. People don't need to lock themselves into 2-year deals. Here's an example, is that we were trying to get my daughter's phone set up, right? We go to AT&T in the mall, and like we just wanted to buy a simple plan, prepaid if we needed to, right? Like we would rather do prepaid. And like they go into this huge spiel about like, hey, like they start, like we're just like, hey, can we just do this? And they start trying to back sell us and sell us and do all these different things. And they want our social and they want all this different information. Eventually, my wife and I were just kind of like, all right, screw this. Like, we're leaving. Like, we're not going to, like, we just need basic things here. If you're going to be so desperate for upsells and stuff like that and locking us into long-term contracts where we have to get, like, we can pay for the phone outright. We don't need to finance the phone. But, like, they're pushing us to finance and doing all this different stuff. And so we eventually just left. We didn't buy anything from them. We went somewhere else. That's the problem with AT&T, is that you don't need to use that anymore. Like, you don't need to lock yourselves into long-term contracts. And so if you look at AT&T and you look at the long-term chart, AT&T's actually been downtrending for years and years now. Like, this is a company that has had a downward trend almost for the last decade. Like, look at this downward trend. It's a very clear downward trend too, almost for the last 10 years. So I'm skeptical of some of these companies. Yeah, for sure. Right, exactly. It's not a good sign for me. And again, it discourages customers. Like, I don't want to go to AT&T store if they're gonna try to force me to finance something when I could just pay for it outright just so they can earn slightly more commissions. It just seems terrible. And AT&T reps, they make good money. Like, they make like 60 grand a year because they're salesmen. You know, they're not reps, they're salesmen. They were treating you like a typical customer. Yeah, but regardless of what I am, right? They need to be able to read the signs. Like, they need to be able to say, hey, this dude doesn't want any of that stuff. This dude would rather just pay for the phone, pay for the service outright, not sit here for 2 hours. And instead, they didn't have that awareness about him, and they lost the customer. Yeah, I don't know what Uber's saying on TV right now, but I know he's speaking on CNBC. Again, Uber's up too much for me. You know, and I think the ironic part about some earnings is that Uber posted one of the best earnings reports today, in my opinion. Uber did great EPS, great revenue, great increases in numbers, great outlook. And for whatever reason, Uber's down from it. But again, it's probably because Uber is up a lot over the last 10 days. Uber's up a bunch over a 10-day period. So that's probably what it is. Enphase, yeah, ENPH dropped earnings yesterday with Snap, right? I was going to stream, but I didn't. I got really wrapped up in this documentary about the Vietnam War. And I also look back at my numbers, and Snapchat's just not a big enough company for me to stream its earnings call. Even though I'm holding it and I want it to go up, it's just not a big enough tech company for me to... Man, the Vietnam War was a mess. You know, it's when you really start to recognize how much you disagree with the U.S. foreign policy in a lot of ways. Yeah, man, the war in Vietnam was absolutely ridiculous, man. So basically, since the 1800s, the French were colonizing, you know, what is now known as Vietnam. And so where they were living in these big mansions, you know, basically taking advantage of the people there. Eventually, the people there started forming these groups to fight for their freedom. And they thought the U.S. would be sympathetic towards them, right? Like, even at World War II, as the U.S. was battling Japan, you know, right when some of the stuff happened, I'm not going to say what happened, but right when some of the stuff happened to end World War II, the people there fought up and you know, took back their country to a certain extent. And at the time, they looked up to the U.S. They looked up to Americans because America, freedom, yeah. You know, and they thought that we would be sympathetic towards their cause. And to a certain extent, we were. Roosevelt was. But when Truman got power, you know, he was kind of, he wasn't as sympathetic, we'll put it that way. And then eventually, what happened is that World War II ended and the Cold War started, right? So it's battling communism and like all that different stuff from World War II. And the U.S. basically didn't want France, who was again colonizing, or were colonizers of Vietnam at the time. We didn't want France to join the Russians and, you know, the communists. And so instead of backing the freeing of the Vietnamese people, we instead sided with the French, which was a terrible decision, and thus started the long, drawn-out war there. Yeah, it was just a mess, but America, freedom, you know, that's what they say. It's about as ironic as you could be. What's going on with Uber? Uber CEO right now is speaking on. Uber is the CEO is speaking on CNBC right now. He must not be saying something the public likes because Uber is dumping down here. Yeah, you're welcome, Dylan. You know, that's what we're here for, bro. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying, MH. I don't think they're going to go obsolete, Shane. What I will say, though, is that they're going to lose money over time. Like, they're not going to literally lose money. They're going to lose margins. They're going to lose market share, I guess is the easiest way to put it. They're going to not be as profitable as the last 10 years in the following 10 years. Because, again, people do not need to lock themselves into long-term phone contracts anymore. The percentage of people that need that type of service is going down. There's too much competitors. Prepaid is becoming very common now, and so you don't need to lock yourself into a 2-year phone deal. You can pay month to month, get better plans. Prepaid, paying month to month, it's just easier, better, no contract, and that's bad for AT&T. That's AT&T's. That's a big bulk of AT&T's business, and so in that regard, they're going to lose some income over time from that change in you know, phone plans and services details. Alright guys, Baba slightly green on the day, bouncing back. A lot of stuff reacted really positively to earnings and then came all the way back down. What kind of chart do you recommend looking at for swing trading? It's going to vary. It's going to vary. I would say I look at like 10 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute daily. It just depends. I look at, basically there's 3 different aspects of the chart I look at when I'm looking at whether to buy a swing trade. The first one is, what has it done over the last couple days, right? The reason I look at that is because sometimes stocks can pump up heavy over a couple day period, even if the longer term chart looks better, if it's too extended short term, I'm not going to buy it most of the time. The second chart I'll look at is a daily chart. I'll look at a daily chart because that'll give me like a really good picture of what it's done, specifically over the past year, like a 52-week chart with daily candles. That'll give me an idea of what it's done essentially over the last few months, over the last year plus, whether it's downtrending over the last year, whether it's had a big run up over the last few months or weeks. That'll give me an idea of extension. And then general company health, I'll zoom out more and I'll look at a weekly chart and long-term trends like AT&T. Is it trending down for a decade? If it is, I'm probably not going to buy it. You know, the likelihood that I'm going to catch it right when it's going to bounce is very low. And so, again, I'm just not going to do that. Pop and drop foreshadowing the rest of the day. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them just use back-end towers. Yeah, I mean, sweet and salty, dude. It seems like you're getting really emotional about a joke. I love the U.S., you know? I think you're making a lot of assumptions about what I said based off of emotion. I'm just joking around about irony there. And I think the irony is very funny when you look at it, you know. But again, of course, I love the U.S. I think the U.S. is a great country. I think people from all across the world want to come here and live here, and there's a reason for that. I think capitalism's the best structure you could ever have. You know, I think it causes people here to have a very high standard of living. I don't want to get too political because I'm really not a super political person, you know. But yeah. Yeah, we're gonna move on. I talk about a documentary about Vietnam that I watch. You can't please everybody. It's all good. Gamers usually, if you're. Yeah, I mean, again, look at Baba starting to rip back up. Baba's almost up to $79 a share. Yeah, I haven't really looked at any of those. How about the Astros? When does baseball start? I miss baseball already. Football, I know we got to get the Super Bowl done. But yeah, I mean, define ripping. Somebody's getting mad. I'm saying ripping. Trolls are out today for sure. And I think there's a lot of people making fake accounts that I'm just starting to kind of recognize. But like, I would call a couple % move ripping up, you know? I mean, it's subjective. Whatever you want to label ripping is whatever you want to label it. But I would say at least, you know, a couple % move up is justified to call it ripping. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think, chat? Let me know. Elf. Yeah, Elf has had one of the craziest gains of a company, though. Like, Elf has had a crazy year. It's up too much for me. personally, stock-wise. It's up too much for me. Yeah, and usually the people that get the most mad that I say rip are usually people that either hate the company, don't want it to go up, or are betting against it, right? So if you're shorting Baba and I say, hey, Baba's ripping up, you might get kind of emotional about it. Hey, nice, Raphael. Congrats, dude. So Palantir starting to dip back down a little bit. It's under the low of after hours just now. The highs of yesterday were right at 22s. Uber moving back up some. It's at almost 69. Baba's still sitting right under the volume weighted average price. I'm also in Apple. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more off in Apple. I bought Apple at what's my average price? 182. So we're basically at 190. So we're going to sell a little bit there. That's what makes a market. Yeah, for sure. You know. Yeah, it was really nuanced. But it's interesting. There's a good documentary on it. Basically, it was the battle of communism. You know, battle against communism is what the war was started from. But again, I don't want to get too political. I'm very neutral politically for the most part. I certainly disagree with the U.S.'s foreign policy a lot of the time, and I think that should be okay. But in some ways, in some areas, I've agreed with it as well. It just varies. I'm neutral. Yeah, I've seen it, Mike. It was pretty good. What is Baba going to do when the market opens? I have no idea. I hope it goes up. It announced the 25 billion share buyback, so that's good. Palantir still breaking lows. Uber's starting to bounce back up again. The CEO must have said something on CNBC that the public didn't like because, again, it's struggling now. Any other stocks that people think are extended to the downside but still solid? Blue chips specifically. You're on the fence? No. I'm not about identity politics. Like I'm not gonna root for one side like it's my football team. I go by policy mostly, and again, I agree with some of it and I disagree with some of it. You know. Sorry, checking back on some stuff here. me drink my coffee. Elf is still, man, Elf though, it's just up so much. You put up a long-term chart. Look at a weekly chart for Elf. Look at this chart. It was at 670s in 2019, 670s. So it almost up to 180 is crazy. People are asking me if I'm going to stream Baba's earnings call. Probably not. Probably not. We're just going to cover market stuff going on. Yeah, Baba's earnings call starts at 30 minutes. I'll give you guys the link if you want it. But yeah, we're not going to stream the actual call. I hope it comes in good though. Like I hope they do well with it. But bad website for them though. Their website's not really. The easiest to move around. Here's Baba's. Here's where their earnings call is going to be. Rblx is scheduled to announce their numbers, I believe, at 8 in 30 minutes. But again, they might be out with their numbers already. They had a pretty big gap down. Let me check. CBS, Yum Brands, Emerson. Yeah, I guess Rblx isn't out yet with theirs yet. I'm not sure though. Let me see. Yeah, Rblx is not out. Always remember your beliefs will separate you from your money. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think the biggest mistake most traders make in general is that they correlate their political stances with their trading and with their trading ideas, and I think that's a terrible idea. Some of my best trades were trades that people were yelling at me not to buy for political reasons. You know, like I bought Target. Everybody was screaming at me not to buy it. One of my best trades, you know, made a good bid from it. You know, and so I think people could try to, you know, make it all about it, but I'm gonna try to find value where I can, and maybe I can, you know, correctly, maybe I can't, but. All right, so we're in Apple. We sold a little bit this morning. NVIDIA still at 677s. Baba now technically red on the day. Rblx is volatile, but I don't see their earnings are actually out with their numbers yet. Let me know if you guys see them, but I don't see Rblx dropping their numbers yet. Uber CEO continues to see consumer strength around the world, according to CNBC. CVS raises fiscal year revenue guidance to 371. They expected 366. Adjusted operating at least 16.9 bill. Previous at about 15 bill. FDA grants breakthrough therapy designation to latozumab, an investigational human monoclonal antibody designed to block sortilin to elevate PGRN levels for dementia. The mortgage numbers come out. So yeah, mortgage rate came in at 6.8%, going up. So the NBA 30-year mortgage rate came in at 6.8% versus 6.78% last time. So it went up week to week. What happened to Microsoft at 5 minutes? Microsoft hasn't really done anything. It's green on the day. But I'm not sure what it's going to do. Top 3 investors. We try. You know, definitely top 3. I don't know, Cal. Biotech companies can be volatile, brother. You know, that's kind of how it goes, I think. Yeah, Nvidia's starting to battle that 200 EMA volume weighted average price. Baba's still breaking down a little bit. We added some to it this morning, but it wasn't a huge position. What am I in? I'm in 20 shares of Baba, so pretty small. But I hope it goes up. I'm green on it technically right now as well. But and green on the day equity-wise. Thank you for the updates. Hey, I appreciate it. John, do you still think we're due for a pullback in market? Your poll seems euphoric-minded. I really don't know what the market's going to do. I think that you could argue certainly that we're extended right now on the upside. I think you could certainly argue that. Now, it doesn't have to happen. One of the things, so I see a lot of people that push for some massive correction or crash. I'm not that. I think that's possible with the amount of extension that AI is in right now. I think it ultimately depends on economic policy. I think it depends on bank policy and economic policy this year. What happens with the Fed, what the Fed chooses to do, when they cut rates, what their tone is, what inflation data looks like, what the real estate market does. I think all of those things are going to influence what the broad stock market, futures market does. And I really don't know. I think there's a lot of really extended tech stocks. And again, I've talked about this before. The question, though, the question, just to give you the other side of that extension argument, is the AI technology game-changing and influencing enough to their bottom line, like to their profits, to where it can justify some of these upward moves? And I think to a certain extent it is, right? Now, it doesn't mean this is subjective, right? But I think if you look at PE ratios for some of these companies, again, let's take a look, right? Rblx is down here. I don't think they've reported yet. I think they report in 23 minutes. So let's take a look. So again, let's put up NVIDIA here. And we looked at NVIDIA earlier. NVIDIA at 680s. Right now, 680s. If we look at their PE ratio, not their forward PE, but their actual PE ratios, regardless of what they think they're going to do or whatever, let's look at their actual PE ratios. 267 plus 214 plus 240 plus 156. Right, so here's the yearly EPS for NVIDIA. It's 877. NVIDIA price is currently about 679. It gives us a PE ratio for NVIDIA of about 77. So in this regard, this is extended on the upside, right? So this is extended on the upside. This is a high PE ratio. It's not sky high. It's very high. I wouldn't say it's super dangerous, but it's certainly high. It doesn't necessarily mean everything, though, because when you look at it in that regard, Amazon had a 100+ PE ratio a year ago, and Amazon has caught up to it in profits. And the PE ratio for Amazon has gone down a little bit. The reason I say this is when you look at revenue for NVIDIA. So you look at revenue for NVIDIA, look at the graph for revenue. People are saying, oh, they're so extended, they're up too much. And that might be true. I don't know, right? That might be true. I'm not arguing against that necessarily. But when you look at the revenue here, quarterly revenue, big impact from AI. AI has certainly helped the revenue jump up over the last 3 quarters, the last year roughly. Revenue has had a very strong reaction to AI, and their earnings have certainly gone up in that way. EPS is a similar thing, although revenue is where you see it the most. And so the question is, moving into this quarter, NVIDIA drops their earnings this month for NVIDIA. So this next graph will be this month. I believe it's the 21st. So NVIDIA is in 2 weeks on Wednesday. NVIDIA is expecting 20.17 billion. So they're expecting earnings to go up more. They're expecting it to go up to over this level. That's what they're expecting. And if they come in at expected or better than expected, again, that's an optimistic sign for AI and microchips, despite how much they're up. When we look at other companies like this in this way, right, we can look at AMD. And you can see AMD, a very similar looking chart here. So again, we can put up AMD, look at AMD's revenue real quick before we calculate the PE ratio. But AMD has had a very strong revenue bounce over the last few years. It's not as strong as nvda, but when we look at some of these microchip stocks, like we could look at C3 AI. You know, you can see C3 AI has great revenue, but when you calculate the PE ratio, so now let's look at AMD's PE. AMD, and again, we're gonna put this chart up. We're watching Rblx. Rblx should be reporting soon. Palantir dipping down. nvda still there. But we can look at AMD here. AMD having another green day. When we calculate their PE, $265, AMD at 168. AMD, you get a PE of about 63. And so I think one thing that we're seeing is very clear, is that most of these companies are based around PE ratios specifically, are considered overpriced. Again, specifically around their PE ratios. Now, it doesn't mean that they are overpriced. Again, you do see companies catch up to these prices. Amazon's a good example. You've had a lot of companies that have done that. Google was a good example. But I think when we look at companies, ones that you could consider overextended right now are certainly AI stocks. But Apple, like people bring up Apple, you know, Meta. Even Meta. Meta has a pretty good PE ratio, all things considered. I haven't looked at it now. But I think the safest bets for me personally are going to be the legacy tech companies and social media companies that are also getting into AI, right? Those are ones that are not so vulnerable to corrections because they have other businesses excluding AI. We calculate Meta's PE ratio. And again, I'm not telling you to buy anything. I don't know what you should buy. But when you calculate 14.9 yearly PE, that's pretty solid. Meta price 454. Meta's PE ratio is 30. 30. And so not that bad, all things considered. Of course, bears are going to argue that 30 is high. I think relative to the rest of the market, it's not. Again, Apple is a very similar number. Apple, I think, is somewhere around 30 as well. And so, whether we're extended on the upside is arguable, I guess, is the point. And who knows whether AI is going to see a massive correction or whether, similar to Amazon over the past year, profits and earnings are going to catch up to their price. No, Sam. Disney's not heavily weighted enough. Apple's up today. Amazon's up today. Google's up today. None of these are up a lot, though. I don't know why the E-mini's bumping up. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Cisco drops earnings sometime soon, I think, right in the next couple weeks. All right, Tim, I'll get it. Give me a second, brother. I got you. Is the stop loss working when you put it in on regular market time, but regular market time starts with the crash? What do you mean? It depends on what kind of stop. If it's a market stop, it should trigger as long as it hits your level, depending on when it was set. If it's a limit stop, sometimes it can just go right past it because a limit stop is much more rigid in terms of conditions for fills. Like a market stop will get you out as soon as it hits that level, regardless of price. Limit stop will force you to get out at that specific limit price or better. And so if the stock moves too quickly and you're unable to get filled, then you might be stuck. Apple testing highs right now, though, at 190s. Apple testing highs at 190s. Here's Baba. Again, Baba is still testing lows. Roblox earnings should be dropping sometime soon. I appreciate your work, John. What news outlets do you trust? I'm not really gonna give up my sources. I use TOS a lot for news. Forward PE's high. Yeah, but 45's not that bad. How's your Snapchat trade doing as they plunged yesterday? I mean, I'm still green in it. Again, I talked about this earlier. Number one, we ended up buying the dip and got into a much larger position earlier. And honestly, we're pretty green on Snapchat again. We made most of our profits back by adding to it. Again, I talked about what happened with Snapchat. So remember, on my Snapchat trade, again, I'll go over what I did, like the longer term outlook or the longer term view of what I did with Snapchat, right? With Snapchat, I ended up buying it. The last real trade I got in, like significant trade, I ended up buying Snapchat at 927, right? That was my average, is 927. Over the next, I sold a little bit in August right after I bought it because it bounced up so quickly. I sold a little bit more in October at 1030s. I sold more in December at 13s and 15 basically. And so by the time we had that big dump yesterday, I was in a very small position, although my average was really nice, but it was a very small position. And then again, we ended up adding our size right back earlier this morning, and that trade's actually doing really well. So I guess I managed it okay and protected myself. But, you know, again, my average price was 920s prior to me entering this latest trade on it. And so, you know, we got a good average still, even with the drop. We're still profitable on it, or we were still profitable on it, and now we're even more profitable on it. We're green on it now as well. With the I added more to it. My average price is 1150s. It's at like 1230s right now. So I don't know if I should take a little bit off on this or what I should do with it. But I did. One of my favorite trading strategies is looking for big pullbacks and big overreactions on earnings reports. And so Snapchat dropping a huge percentage would probably justifies that. So I ended up buying more, but none of these positions are big enough to where I'm scared of them. And I think that's a good lesson for traders. Now, again, this is just how I do it. You can do it however you want to do it. But when I take positions like this, I guess I have the luxury of a large account. Like my account's large enough to where these type of positions are not going to make me scared to look at the computer screen. You know, like I'm not nervous to look at any of these positions because I understand that even if one or two or three or half of these positions go against me, I'm still going to be okay. I'm not putting myself in such a overextended way that I'm scared of my positions. And I think that's important for traders to understand. I think if you have too much, like if you got too many butterflies in your stomach based off of one or two positions, you're probably trading way too large relative to your account size, and you want to scale down your size. It really is one of the most game-changing things that you can do in your trading to limit your size so that you can think clearly about your positions. If you're too extended or too heavy in a position, you're not going to think clearly. Every time it goes up, down, or whatever, you're going to get emotional about it. And that's what we see a lot of the weird haters that show up in the chat based around specific stocks, because they're just, again, hella emotional about some of their positions. And if I'm taking the other side, that makes them emotional. You don't want to bring yourself to that level ever. You want to be able to take positions that you're going to make money in, but diversify well enough and like scale down your size well enough to just protect yourself in these trades so that even if one's wrong, you know, you're still okay. Again, I talked about my positions earlier. So we are in Apple, average price of 181s, ARM, average price of 63s, it's at 72s. We're also in AMC, very small position now. We've scaled out of it, but our average price on AMC is 1050s. It's at $4, so terrible trade there. Boeing, we're slightly green on Boeing, basically flat. Baba, we are down on Baba a little bit. Chewy, we're in at $42. It's at $54 a share. Or no, that was Citigroup. I'm sorry. Citigroup, we're in at 42. Chewy, we're in at 16s. It's at 17s. Delta, we're in at 39s. It's at 40s. Disney, we're in at $90. It's at almost 100. Etsy, we're in at 83s. It's at 74, so we're down at Etsy. Ford, we're in at 11s. It's at 12s. Gold, we're basically flat. GameStop, we are basically flat. Google, we're in at 125s. It's at 145s. So nice percentage gains there. Home Depot, we're in at 292s. It's at 356. So doing really nicely on that one. Honeywell, we're in at 186s. It's at 193s. So that one's nice. Coca-Cola, we're in at that one at 52s. It's at almost 60. MGM, we're in that one at 39s. It's at 45s almost. So we're nicely green there too. Microsoft, another really good entry here. 312s. It's at 406s. Nike, we're in at 104s. It's at 102. So we're down a little bit on that one. Oracle, we're in at 99s. It's at 115s. Pfizer, we're down a little bit. We're in at 32s. It's at 27s. Palantir, we're in at 19s on the latest position, but our earlier position we were in at like 15s or 16s. It's at 21s now. So RTX, we're in at 72s. It's at 92s. Good percentage gains there. Snapchat, our current average is 1150. It's at 12 something. SoFi, we are down slightly. We're in at low 8s. It's at high 7s, so pretty flat there. SPY, we're in at 424s on a swing trade for the SPY. It's at 494s. Tesla, we're down on that one. We're in at 190 something. It's at 180 something. So not the worst trade, but certainly not green. Walgreens, we're in at 22s. It's at 23s. Walmart, we're in at 151s. It's at 170 almost. And then Exxon Mobil, we're in at 97s. It is at 102s. So those are my positions right now. You can see I've diversified. And I'm nicely green on these positions, to be honest. And so, again, you can kind of see I'm diversifying into a bunch of different positions. But I'm not taking monstrous size on any of these trades. I'm letting the overall diversity of my portfolio help me in these positions because the market's moving up. We're doing well. We take profit on positions that we're up nicely in. And if we're down on something, we will add to it as well if it's a healthy enough company that I think I can. So when we get like a big pullback in something, I will add to it and average into that trade. It only can be very specific companies. It's certainly not everything. Only if I think the company's fine long term, and we can kind of push the average up or push the average down a little bit. E-mini looks like a inverse head and shoulders. Super micro. Yeah, I got you. Hold on. Yeah, Baba still down. These are shares. CrowdStrike. I don't know what I try to invest in companies that I know. I mentioned Snapchat. I'm in Snapchat at 1150s right now. 1150s. But again, earlier this morning I ended up adding. So again, prior to this position on Snapchat, I was in at 920s on Snapchat, and it was up to 18s. Unfortunately, I didn't take profit up there. The last time I had taken profit was at 15s. Snapchat ended up dipping down this morning, all the way down to 11s, and that's where I bought back in. So my average price on Snapchat right now is 1150. It's at 1230s, so we're green on it still. I mean, we've been green on it. Just to see the ad that I took here and where I added to it, just so you can kind of see. This is one of my favorite strategies, where I wait for a big overreaction in stocks, and mostly from earnings. I do it with a little bit of any catalyst, but earnings, it's really effective for me at least. I can't guarantee it's going to work for you, and always remember, guys, with that said, remember I am terrible at this stuff and I have no idea what I'm talking about. We are not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment, trade responsibly. I am not guaranteeing anything here on this live stream. I'm not a pro trader living off of my trading profits purely. And yeah, remember, guys, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. But yeah, anyways, one of my favorite strategies is looking for emotional dips, buying that dip up and riding the bounce back. Now, we were already in a position, so we were just kind of adding another 30 shares to it right around these lows. And we did get in right around the lows. You can see on TOS, this is my actual me entering the position there on TOS. So not bad. I'll take it. Rblx starting to move up. It's trying to move up. All right, so Alibaba says the company is starting to see early signs of GMV growth recovery. New York Bank names Alessandro Danello as executive chairman, according to Bloomberg. Still waiting for Rblx numbers. They're scheduled to be released in 6 minutes for Rblx. Technically scheduled for 8 o'clock. So thoughts on cannabis companies. You know, I'm pro legalization for cannabis stocks, specifically because I think people are going to consume them regardless of whether they're legal or not. And so by keeping them illegal, you're endangering the population. I'm for legalizing and taxing it personally, but in terms of cannabis stocks, looking at it in terms of trying to predict when federal legalization is going to happen is a very difficult thing. Who knows? Again, 20 years ago, I thought we would obviously be legal like nationwide by now. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and instead it's still kind of this weird gray area. And so I'm not the most optimistic about a lot of these cannabis stocks, just because I think that we've heard many times that legalization was going to happen federally, and it's just not happening. Both sides of the political spectrum get PAC donations from lobbyist groups against it, specifically with like law enforcement and others. And so trying to guess when that legalization is going to happen is difficult, and I'm not willing to put my money into those companies yet. Maybe once it starts to roll, we'll see, but not yet for me. What's the symbol, Clayton? All right, so Apple right around the highs of the day. Uber's a head scratcher. Yeah, Uber is just interesting. Uber had one of the best reports of the day, in my opinion. Uber had good EPS, good revenue, good booking numbers, up a lot in terms of metrics, but for whatever reason it's gapping down. This is a prime example of why you can't purely bet on earning outcomes, because again, you could find a company that has great EPS, great revenue, great guidance, great earnings, and drops from earnings results, and so they're just not as easily predictable as people think. Still waiting on Roblox here. Roblox has been pretty volatile in pre-market right now. Who knows if it'll continue to be, but couldn't you make the same argument about legalizing all drugs since people will take them anyway? I mean, you could, but specifically cannabis is the most rampant one, and it's the least harmful. It's objectively less harmful than most modern drugs that are legalized, like alcohol, I guess, is the easiest example. It's objectively less harmful. It doesn't cause physical withdrawal symptoms like that. It doesn't cause nearly the negative effects on the human body that alcohol causes, yet alcohols and liquor is sold at gas stations across the country. A lot of the adults that I know are, but cannabis is, prohibition is still here. It's just creating, it's something that a decent percentage of the population uses regularly. And so I think that's another difference there. That's not the only argument. The argument is about having an even standard of legalization. You can't have one thing that's objectively less harmful legalized, and then the other thing that's obviously less harmful prohibited. It's nonsensical. nvda still right at that 200 EMA volume weighted average price. We're still waiting on Roblox. Roblox technically supposed to come out in a minute and a half. Yeah, I don't really invest in Bristol Myers either. I just don't know it well enough. Yeah, Baba down at $75. Is it a buy down here? Let me look at the poll numbers. We did one. Does the market close green today? Yeah, so I see Pawn had to ban somebody, and that's okay. Like, again, him and I talked about it in the background. If you're somebody that genuinely sits around trying to stir the pot and disagree, eventually you're just going to get banned. It's fine to disagree, but when everything I say you disagree with, you're not going to last very long here. It's just conflict starting, And I think most of the time these are people that have been banned before that are creating fake account or creating new accounts acting the same way. And it's all love. I mean, you'll be banned forever if you act like that, but it's all love. Snapchat at 1220s right now. Part of me thinks I should take a little bit off it. I think I'm going to. I've already bought enough of it. I'm not going to take all of it off, but I'm just going to protect myself. Feel me? Oh, look at hey, there we go. There is here, hold on. There's Roblox numbers. Roblox numbers are out. And Roblox is up to $43 a share for Roblox. $43 a share. Roblox numbers are out. They posted revenue of $749.9 million, up 30% year over year. They expected revenue of 1.07 billion. No. Yeah. 1.07 billion. They ended up posting 749 million. Wait, what? That can't be right. Is this wrong? Estimates? What were the expected revenue guidance? Or what were the expected revenue numbers? Bookings were 1.26 billion, up 25% year over year. Net loss attributed to common stockholders was 323.7 mil. Fox is out with their numbers as well. Roblox is reacting positively to this. What was the expected revenue, though? That's what I'm trying to figure out. We'll put these numbers up on screen for Roblox. Snap reported yesterday evening. Again, you can see sales for Roblox bookings. Roblox churning up to 44s. Alright, so again, GAAP EPS was a 52-cent loss for Roblox. They expected a 56-cent loss estimate, so a little bit less of a loss than expected for Roblox. Sales came in at 750 million. Again, does anybody know what the expected sales were? Over 45s for Roblox, so Roblox just ripped over 45s. Apple right at the high of the day, too. Is it going to let me sell? Okay, there we go. Let me sell a little bit. Actually, we'll take a little bit more off here. Just to protect the trade. Lock in profit. Man, look at Roblox churn up over 46 50s for a couple points at 46.75 now. Yeah, the problem with Uber, Cal, is that Uber is up so much over the last couple months that I don't like it. It's not extended enough. Even if it dips from earnings, it's not dipping enough. It's kind of flat on the day. Previous closing price is $70.50 basically. It's at roughly $69.75, almost $70 now. So it's just not. It's not down. It's too extended on the upside short term, in my opinion. Like if we put a 20-day chart up, 20 days ago Uber was at 58s. It's almost at 70 right now. So again, regardless of this small earnings dip, it's just not down enough for me to think it's a discount buy there, personally. Uber is starting to bounce back though. So again, I might be wrong, but I'm just not going to personally buy it. Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old son. I know what Roblox is for sure. So this is all about tech stocks. This is just what earnings came out today. So it's earnings season right now. We had a bunch of earnings drop. Alibaba, Uber, CBS reported this morning. We had Roblox at 47.40s. Again, we'll put up Roblox numbers here so you guys can see it, but we also had Fox drop their numbers here. Here's Roblox. Apple now over 190s. Yeah, SPY is ripping. Be careful how you say rip, though. People get weird. If somebody's shorting the SPY right now, that's like their most hated word is rip. How dare you say something's ripping when it's only up a couple percent, they say. The number one sign somebody's emotional about a stock. Apple at over 190s, though. Dare I say ripping up over highs of the day for Apple. Last quarter, Uber beat and the stock was down early in the day and rallied nicely. Yeah. Again, Uber's up too much for me right now, personally. At $70 a share, it was at $50 or $60 a couple weeks ago. That's just too extended on the upside short term. It's made too big of moves prior to earnings for me to want to buy it up now. Maybe if it pulls back, if Uber pulls back to like 60, 55, 60. I think Uber is one of those game-changing companies that's going to be around for a long time. I think it's completely influenced how people travel short distances. It completely influences the need for automobiles in a lot of ways, whether people drive, whether, what people do. And I think that type of change is permanent. I think once we have that type of efficiency in something, there's not really any going back from that. I think it's always going to be around and probably always grow. Just short term, for me, it's too, not always grow, but short term for me, it's a little bit too high. Yeah, Rblx up nicely over 46s. I like your positive mind on a stock market. Hey, thank you, sir. Yeah, definitely top three rippiest rips in the world right now. What's up, Jamal? Can you explain the bond? Which one, James? No, on a serious note, I'm assuming you mean treasury bonds. Bonds are loans to the U.S. government, basically, that are guaranteed by the U.S. government, and they'll pay you out a specific interest rate. Most of them right now, if you look at like 10-year bonds, 10-year bonds currently at almost 41% is what they're going to pay out. Basically at 41%, or not 40, I'm sorry, not, I wish 41%. At 4.1% is roughly what a 10-year bond is going to pay you right now. So if you buy 100K of this bond right now, over the next 10 years, every year you're going to make about 4.1%. You're going to make about $4,100 a year in interest payments. And then at the end of that 10-year period, you're going to get your 100K back, thus, maturing the bond, or thus holding to maturity. The bond matures when time runs out, when the 10 years are up. Point is, it's guaranteed by the U.S. government, right? Now, these are a lot of the time moving inversely to stocks because they're competitive with stocks, right? The more people that are buying stocks, the less people that are buying bonds, because stocks in that way are going to give you much better yields on average. Like the S&P will give you a 10% on average yield per year. It gave you 24% last year, but it's not guaranteed, and it's ultimately much more risky. And so when stocks go up, a lot of the time short-term bonds move down, although long-term they tend to follow each other to a certain extent. SPY breaking highs right now. SPY at 495.30s. So it's moving up. NVIDIA right now is testing highs up here. So look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA at 682s almost. 682s. So NVIDIA is starting to ramp back up. We'll see if it holds. NVIDIA trying to go green on the day. Palantir breaking lows. Here's BABA. BABA's still at 75. Again, Rblx doing okay. Hey, sorry, I'm not sure if my question was answered, but is it safe to say we are in a bull market? The definition of a bull market is to a certain extent subjective, meaning it's opinion-based. I would say we are. I would say the last year or two has been very strong, market-wise, very strong. But some people are going to say, no, we're just, or what, I don't know, whatever argument people are going to have for it. Yeah, I'm a watch person. I was thinking about getting talk me out of buying an Omega Seamaster watch, which is the James Bond watch. Talk me out of it, because I've been thinking about getting one. The Aquateras are cool. See, the diver watches are cool. If I got one though, like I really like these right here. I really like the rubber strap gold ones. I think those are cool. That one, I don't like that one as much, but that one's pretty cool. But I've been thinking about getting one of these. These are the James Bond watches. nvidia's still pushing up, man. Look at the SPY. SPY at 495.30s. What's the lifetime highs? 496.05. So the SPY, not that far away from lifetime highs. 496.05. So we are less than $1 a share away from lifetime highs on the SPY if we can hold these gains into the opening bell. Rblx starting to dip a little bit. Palantir bouncing back some. Don't do it. James Bond isn't cool anymore. How dare you? Hey, thank you, Mr. Moody. Saying hello from Germany. What's up, dude? Honestly, think the market's going to dump today? Maybe. No, we don't have anything at 8:30. There's no economic reports today. We got a little bit of stuff tomorrow, but not really anything today. We got earnings this morning. That's the big thing. Today's earnings. Oh, we got the trade deficit data today. It's not really going to be a big influence over markets. They're expecting 62.1 billion. 62.1 billion for this. But again, it's not really a huge influence over markets in my opinion. We have mortgage rates come out. So yeah, we got import-export data. What trade balance data means is how much we're importing versus exporting market-wise. It's typically seen as a negative sign if we are importing, like using other countries' goods and importing them to our country more than we are exporting, essentially manufacturing and producing things. Anyways, in that regard, the trade balance data for Canada is expected today as well. But yeah, our trade balance data, we're expected at minus 62 billion, which means that we are importing $62 billion more than we're exporting. That's the margin of difference there. So again, we'll see what happens. 62 bill is what's expected. That drops in 18 minutes. I'll cover it. It shouldn't be a huge influence, but it, might play some factor in market action. Is GameStop moving up? Uber started to bounce back almost at 70s. GameStop's not really moving. I'm in GameStop right now. I am slightly green on the day. Save your money and buy Baba. Austin Powers over James Bond. Yeah, me too. The only reason I buy nice watches like that is because a lot of watches actually surprisingly hold their value. I ended up buying a nice watch. I'm not going to say what it was, but I ended up buying a nice watch a couple months ago, and it's actually appreciated since then. So luxury watches surprisingly can keep up with inflation. I'm not saying they will, and they're really not meant to be investments, but a diversity portfolio, I buy a little bit of everything, and I'm up a little bit on that. I guess you could call it a trade. ARM earnings are this evening after 4. And again, I would stream those, but we're not going to be here. I gotta do something with my wife this afternoon. So yeah, unfortunately though, if it's $300, it's a fake. It's a fugazi. Pepsi Rolex probably costs $20,000 if you want to buy a Pepsi Rolex. DraftKings moving up in anticipation of the Super Bowl. Baba's out already, guys. Baba numbers are out already. Yeah, I mean, gold's certainly more liquid. But in that regard, why don't you just buy the portfolio? Or why don't you just buy futures or whatever? Not futures. Why don't you just buy gold ETFs? If you want to keep up with gold without having to buy the actual physical gold. Yeah, we do have the bond auctions as well. Those might influence things. Those are usually this afternoon. Are they this afternoon? Let me look this up. Alright, so I'm trying to find this on my sources about the bond auctions. When are they? Okay, yeah, so the 10-year note auction is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time today. 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we'll see what happens with 10-year notes. I like 10-year bonds as well. Last time they came in at 4.024% yield. So we'll see what happens there. Roblox finally pulling back after a big run-up from earnings. nvda trying to go green on the day as well. I've seen the first Mission Impossible, but it was a long time ago. So, and again, they've had the problem with Mission Impossible movies. Like, I get it. Tom Cruise is still trying to act like he's this young heartthrob guy. I get it. But, like, if I'm him, I might be acting the same way, you know? But, like, the problem is, like, they've diluted the Mission Impossible movies. They've came out with so many new ones that there's just freaking too many of them. They should learn from James Bond, right? James Bond movies, you get one every few years, maybe. And I guess Mission Impossible movies are the same way, but you don't get a Bond movie every 2 years. Mission Impossible, it seems like you get a new one every year or two. They're pumping out new Mission Impossible movies more than they're dropping new Game of Thrones episodes. You know, they need to slow that down. It's diluting it. Like, you got to think about it in terms of dilution. There's just too many people that don't care about it anymore because every story is similar. I don't know. I guess the Fast and Furious movies are the same way, but the Fast and Furious movies will always have a special place in my heart. I grew up in the early 2000s when the Fast and Furious #1 came out. The first Fast and Furious movie dropped. That was like I was about to start driving when that movie came out, and got me really into like JDM tuner cars. I had like a H22 Honda Prelude 5-speed. It was really fun. It was like a 97. I had an Eclipse, a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Got really into tuner cars. Still kind of am, but I got kids and a family now. I don't have time, as much time. AMD's looking good. Is it really? Again, Apple broke highs again. The interesting thing today is the SPY. Will the SPY break all-time highs? I think it could. Again, AMD up to almost 170. So yeah, AMD does look good. It might be what's pulling up the rest of the market too. Tokyo Drift was cool. I liked it. I liked it a lot. People give it hate, but I thought for the time, it was cool. You got any JDM cars now? Not really. I've moved on from 4-cylinder cars, you know. So they'll still have a special place in my heart, though. My dream car is still like an Acura NSX, a twin turbo, like a '94 twin turbo Supra, an R34, the old R34s. A Sylvia, you know. So, RX-7, you know. 300Z twin turbo. Not the new ones. 350Zs are cool, but the old school 90s twin turbo tuner cars were fun, man. All right, guys. Hey, we got a couple minutes until the bell. Or not, no, I'm sorry. We got an hour until the bell. We got a couple minutes until 8:30 when this trade balance data shows up. Uber, yeah, there's Roblox on the left side. Palantir bouncing back a little bit. It's at 2150s. Here's Uber on the left side. You know, a lot of these earnings look similar, like the chart. Gone in 60 Seconds is better than Fast and Furious. It's close, but Fast and Furious is better tuner movie, which is what my bias is. Gone in 60 Seconds is less realistic than the original Fast and Furious movies. The original Fast and Furious movie. Let me singular. Because the first Fast and Furious movie was actually very realistic to tuner culture. We talked about this before. We actually made a short about this, but the first movie was very realistic to tuner culture. You could tell they did their homework on that type of thing, like on tuner cars and you know, that type of environment. Very realistic. You know, the upgrades, the cars. It's still a little out there and embellished, and of course, like any movie is going to be, but very realistic, all things considered, relative to the other movies, especially. After the Fast and Furious 1, whoever started directing the second one, they turned from a realistic movie about tuner culture to just absolute ridiculous stuff. Hey, buddy, I love you, man. Hey, buddy. Yeah, it is Roblox. Look, Roblox reported earnings. You want to see it? And they're up a lot.
Yeah, I know. They might actually be thinking of shutting down.
Nah, they're not going to shut it down. That's just a rumor. Roblox is a public company. It's doing okay. It's at $45. So, I mean, they dropped earnings. So, every quarter of the year, so every 3 months, companies release their earnings, basically saying how profitable they're going to be. Roblox just released theirs, and the public liked it. They think it was good numbers, and so you can see the stock price move up in that way, and Roblox is bouncing. So, maybe you'll get some cool updates. Roblox will make more money. Alright. Alright. But yeah, so anyways, after the first Fast and Furious movie, the following movies were so ridiculous. To anybody that actually knows about cars and understands cars, especially tuner cars, Too Fast, Too Furious, a ridiculous movie. Just absolutely ridiculous. Like you got flames shooting out of exhaust pipes, ridiculous. Just not something that really you see very much. I'm not saying you never see flames out of exhaust pipes, but the whole thing is just, it turned so ridiculous. You could tell whoever made the movie did not understand cars and just went super ridiculous stereotypes and you know, cliches and racing. But oh well. They kind of went more, instead of a tuner movie, they went to kind of like an action movie following that. Nah, the second one was ridiculous. They had every car had dual flame shooting exhausts in the second one. And crazy, like, just crazy stuff. Love you. How you feeling? Alright. Alright guys, Roblox bounced it up a little bit. Palantir still trying. Bob is still consolidating around $75. Again, SPY finally started to dip down. SPY has a chance to break lifetime highs though. So they have a chance to break lifetime highs at the opening bell. Apple pulling back to that 190 previous high of the day. Yeah, those Evos were really cool. Nah, there's some movies that had great trilogy. Lord of the Rings, the best movie trilogy of all time, in my opinion. The Godfather movies. We're not even going to include The Godfather 4, but great movies. I would argue a great trilogy of movies. There's a bunch of good trilogies, man, you know. What is the SPY lifetime high? The SPY lifetime high is 496.04, I believe, or something like that. Right over 496. Yeah, 496.05 is the lifetime high on the SPY. Okay, so FI, the first one had flame shooting out the exhaust during the race, sure. But it had flame shooting out the exhaust where it's supposed to, which was in the middle of shifting. Sometimes, occasionally, you'll get a spark and it'll come out the exhaust, right? Like, that happens, as well as, like, sometimes with NOS injection, that will happen, right? The second movie, literally as soon as they started their cars, flames started shooting out. It was just super stereotyped, super ridiculous. Like, it didn't make sense. It just wasn't the same, unfortunately. And I'm biased because, again, I'm like a big tuner car guy. But yeah. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, greatest trilogy ever. You gotta call it that. I wasn't a big fan of the new series they put out. We tried to watch it. After Game of Thrones, it's almost too too corny. But it was all right, you know. It was all right. Yeah, well, Roblox is starting to bounce back up. We'll see if it holds. Here, let me get the music back up. We got to swap our headphones out. Yeah, DC's been the last good DC movies were the Dark Knight series. The Hobbit. See, I never got into the Lord of the Rings after the original trilogy. I thought all the Hobbit movies weren't that good. The Hobbit 1 was okay, but I didn't necessarily like most of them. Most of the ones after the original trilogy. Game of Thrones 2? Is that what you mean? I like the new Game of Thrones movies. Like, I like House of Dragon. I actually like it in some ways better than the original. Maybe that's just because they botched season 8. But I like the new House of Dragon series. I was skeptical at first, but if you watch all of it, you get into it. Rocky's good too, for sure. I don't know anything about that, Kenny. It's a low cap company that I don't know enough about to be interested in investing in. Again, SPY, Apple bouncing right at 190. Look at Apple bouncing right at 190 here. It's at 190.20s here, 190.20s. Let's see if it holds. Palantir is still on the right, trying to make moves. Yeah, I'm ready for the new season, man. Again, the sucky part is that it just takes so long in between. You know, it just takes so long for new seasons to come out, unfortunately, that, like, it's just disappointing. Yeah, you gotta just see the problem with most Game of Thrones episodes is that it's a blessing and a curse in that way. Like, the good thing about them is character development, and so you care about the characters in Game of Thrones. Just good writing, right? When you look at any movie, what I always teach my daughter is, like, the good movies are ones that make you truly care about the characters. The good thing about Game of Thrones is that they have really good character development in that way, where when something happens, you're invested into it. The problem is that sometimes that character development takes time, right? So the first couple episodes of any season can be slow because they're building those characters up to make you care about it. Because if they rush through it, like you see a lot of mistakes in movies, if you rush through it, you're not going to care, you know? And so you got to make them care, and sometimes that makes the seasons start off slow because they got to build that type of... They got to build those characters up so they can break them down. You know, any good writing story, you know, that's what it involves. Do you think we're extended in the SPY? I think we could be. I don't know if we are. I think the SPY is up a lot. I think specifically microchip stocks are up a lot. But the thing that people have to understand is that the SPY and the market and microchip stocks don't have to do anything. It's also certainly possible that microchip stocks catch up in terms of earnings to what their PE ratios and price of the shares are. And so it's possible that microchip stocks do catch up with their valuations currently. It doesn't mean they have to pull back. It doesn't mean we have to have some big, massive correction or crash. And I think that's the biggest misconception I see a lot of people have here, is that people say just because NVIDIA is up, that it has to come back down. And with blue chip stocks, you hope people say what goes up must come down. That's not true in blue chip stocks. It's one of the reasons shorting blue chip stocks is one of the riskiest, worst edge strategies you can have in investing and swing trading, is because the longer you hold a blue chip stock, the less likely you are to profit on the short side. The longer you hold a long position in blue chip stocks, the more likely you are to make money on the trade. And so sitting in short positions long term in blue chips is a terrible idea, because again, if you let enough time play out, they're going to usually catch back up, as long as they're healthy companies. Hey, later, James. Yeah, the directors, or not the directors, but I can't remember what it's called, D&D from Game of Thrones. They rushed the last season because they were so starstruck on getting a Disney contract that they just ruined the last season, and then they lost that job because the last season sucked. But what it really was that George R.R. Martin was he had made material based around the previous seasons. Once you started to get to the last season of Game of Thrones, the material was almost out, and George wasn't really connected to it in that way as much, and so it was up to them, and they kind of botched it. SPY just broke highs again, up to 495.56. Look at Apple bounce at that 190 level. That's certainly helping it. Here's the SPY. So the SPY's ripping up. Look at the SPY at 495.60s. So we did have the data come out. So the data showed up at the trade data, that is, at minus 87.89. So more imports versus exports here. We'll put this data up on screen. Hey, thank you, Ramsey. I'm in Walmart. Did it really? I wouldn't really say that's taken off. It's up a little bit. Pretty low liquidity. Pretty spread. Big spread. It's up some, but the spread's big. So, but yeah, thanks, Ramsey, for the donation, bro. All right, guys, SPY at 495s. Palantir starting to test that 200 EMA. And again, so if the SPY holds these gains, it'll break lifetime highs at the opening bell, or it could break lifetime highs at the opening bell if it breaks 496. Again, here's the lifetime highs on the SPY. This right here is the lifetime highs. So this is the lifetime highs, right around 496.05. So a big spot, a big level. We'll see if it holds. Fubo. Yeah, Fubo. I haven't even been using Fubo, and I have Fubo as a service at home. Yeah. Yeah, here's the good trades balance. And again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Top Step is a funded program in futures. So if you want to day trade essentially the SPY, You can day trade the S&P 500 E-mini and futures. Moves the same as the SPY. Different price, but same price action, and there's no PDT rule. It's one of the biggest reasons most pro day traders actually day trade futures, because there's better liquidity, there's less red tape, there's no PDT rule. If you want to day trade stocks, you got to put up 25K in a margin account to do so freely. You can day trade futures, buy market, sell market, get in on the bid, ask. Very similar to day trading stocks. There's just no PDT rule. It's more flexible, less red tape. Top Step is a funded account program in futures where they give you a demo and they test your skill. And I think people underestimate how beneficial this can be for testing your skill in trading. Instead of putting up thousands of dollars, and most day traders lose money in the beginning, instead of putting up that huge amount of money and risking thousands, try a funded account program first. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. But what they do is they give you a demo and they test your skill. You got to hit their profit target without hitting a max loss and follow their rules. If you could do that, they fund you between 50 to 150,000 with a 90% split. And so if you're good enough to pass it, you can get started with a small amount of money and get between 50 to 150K in funding with a 90% split. Free funding coaches. You get to keep your first 10K in profit in withdrawals. They've been around for over a decade and pay out millions in actual withdrawals every year. But it's also on the other side of it. It's only costs $49 to try it, and if you lose, you're only out $49. Just taking the challenge builds your skill. The patterns are very similar to day trading patterns in stocks. There's just no PDT rule. And so again, if you want to check them out, they are a sponsor of mine. Again, always remember, I'm terrible at this stuff and have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't copy me. Or I'll put that roll up a little bit longer. Remember, not an investment professional. We're not liable if you lose, all that good stuff. But if you want to check it out, here's the link. You can get the base combine for only $49. So we're nicely green again today. Apple surged it up really nice. Ford moving up a little bit as well. We're in Ford right now. Tesla still moving up too. That's nice. I mean, you can ask me and I'll try to help. Is it just you? I mean, I own and run the channel. Pawn is like my mod. He helps me with that, with stuff in the background. It's kind of a mod for me, assistant mod, you know, type of person. He's a contractor for me. But aside from that, it's just me, you know. And again, I don't need any help. I don't want any help. You know, I think aside from Pawn helps me with everything I need. And so, again, I think a lot of the time what happens with this channel is that we have such a cool community here. I think most people are genuinely supportive. And so I think sometimes people think like, hey, well, maybe I could work for John, you know. The channel's too small for that. Like, we don't need anybody else. Like, I'm never going to give equity away from the channel as well, because like what's happened historically is that we let people work for us. People volunteer to be mods. They're like, hey, can I mod? Can I mod? And they're asking me if they can mod. And I always tell them, hey, I'm not going to pay you for it, but you could be a mod. They're like, oh, I just want to help out the channel. Okay, cool. And so we let them be mods. And then later down the line, if they got stuff going on, they're getting mad at me for it. Like I'm taking advantage of them. And it's like, dude, I'm not asking. I don't even need that many mods. Like, Pawn kind of gets everything done. And I appreciate everything, you know, from everybody else. But, you know, again, we just don't need anybody like that. And I like to keep it myself. I'm never going to give equity to my channel to anybody. I just don't need to. I like running my channel how it is. You know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and considering it's just me running this channel, like, our big streams are competitive with the big networks as well. Like, we get similar numbers to some of the networks that are pretty big, you know, with just me and Pawn helping me run it. So If we were really struggling or whatever, maybe I'd hire people or whatever, but yeah, like some people just don't want to work. Like we've paid people thousands of dollars a month before, and like they have one job is to kind of help manage the stream, make posts on social media, and they'll like stay up all night playing video games and not work in the morning, and then are surprised when I'm like, hey, I don't need your services anymore, sir. And so it's hard to find good people to like work, you know. And I think like I pay pretty well relative to the amount of work I require from any like. Pawn does a lot of stuff for me, so I'm not talking about him, but historically I have at least. Yeah, that last FOMC stream we did had like 7,000 people here watching live. You know, so that was fun. Those are always the fun streams. You get a lot of trolls that show up, but those are fun, man. Like my regular intraday streams like this are a little bit slower, and that's okay. It kind of gives me time to breathe a little bit. You know, when we get big economic reports like CPI or FOMC meetings or Powell press conferences or earnings or whatever, we usually get thousands of people for those, so those are always fun. Apple bouncing up. It's at 190 here, still holding decently over the VWAP. There's Uber on the left side. We also had what else did we have drop today? We had Uber, we had Roblox. Roblox had a pretty good initial reaction to earnings. It's up to almost 45. Yeah. We asked people, does the market close green today? We got 700 votes. 67% say yes. 33% say no. Alright guys, so again, AMD still moving up. Bob is still trying to sit strong. We'll put the SPY up on the left side here as well. I can also put 4 charts up. I don't know if I should. Here's the Q. What's the NASDAQ doing? So the NASDAQ is up a decent amount as well. All right, team, let me look at our... All right, so I'm also looking for an editor as well. Yeah, holler at me on Discord, Blaze. I got you, man. Tesla ripping? Is it ripping, or is it John ripping? Okay, so it's ripping. Tesla up to over 190s here for a split second. So it's actually ripping. Be careful, though. Again, when you use the word rip, people get weird. Again, nobody criticizes the use of the word rip more than somebody that's down big in a position that's going up. Somebody that's losing big on a short position. Nobody gets mad at rip. Also, with that said, y'all join our Discord here, team. Here's my Discord. Join it. It's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. Here's a Discord link right here. Check it out. Earnings tomorrow. So today we have PayPal. We've got Disney. We've got ARM. We've got Win. We've got Mattel. Those are all the big ones today. Again, Tesla over 190s right now. Over 190s. Dragging the market up. Look at Tesla rip on the left side chart. Justifiably ripping up. Over 190s, just broke highs again. Palantir starting to move up with tech. You love to see it. Of course you love to see it. FOMO scent wafting through the air. Yeah, Tesla's bouncing here. Let's see if it holds. Alright guys, Palantir at 2150s. If SoFi ever missed earnings, I hope to see it not look like Snap yesterday, crossing my fingers. We bought Snap on the dip too. We took profit a little bit earlier, so it looks like that was the right move. We're still green on the trade though. Our average price is 11s, it's at 12s, so we're still good. AMD pulling back some though. Look at Tesla rip up again at 190.50s right now for Tesla, 190.50, so it is moving up some. Let me look to see if there's any news release here for Tesla. Tesla reportedly asked which jobs are critical after canceling employee performance reviews, stoking layoff fears, according to Bloomberg. Fed's Kaspari is a non-voter. He's hawkish. He reiterates that the economy is being remarkably resilient, allowing the Fed to take more time to look at the data before cutting rates. At the moment, 2 to 3 rate cuts this year seem to be appropriate. Tesla up to 190.50s. Yeah, we'll see if the SPY can break 500. I think it's getting close. Nvidia is starting to move up as well. So is Apple. We're actually really nicely green in our stock portfolio today. Again, we spoke about it this morning, but we are up a cool 170 right now, 165 technically. So not bad for my equities portfolio today. We are up about 170 already. All right, guys. Baba under 75. Do you worry about ringworm at jiu-jitsu? No, not really. You just have to use... Ringworm is actually a bacteria or a fungus. You just have to use tea tree oil soap. Like, that's what I use. I use tea tree oil soap. I'm getting pretty good at jiu-jitsu, too. It's fun, man. It really is something that I'm super passionate about. Like, I love jiu-jitsu. It's really fun. You know, the problem with jiu-jitsu is that, like, and this is how I told my daughter and my son, is that when you first learn it, it's difficult. Like, you get beat up, you know, unless you're rolling with people that are essentially your skill level, like brand new. When you first start, you're going to get beat up. And my gym's the type of gym in which, like, some people take it easy on newbies. Other people don't, right? So you're going to have to learn to swim, you know, and you can't have an ego. You got to just tap if you get tapped. You know, if you get, especially, like, I'll let chokes go a little bit longer, and I'm a little bit more resilient to chokes. Like, I don't mind. I just judge my breathing and gauge my breathing. But if somebody grabs my ankle, or if somebody grabs my knee, like gets me in a knee bar or a calf slice or something like that, dude, I am tapping immediately. I am not playing with knee bars. I am not playing with calf slicers. I am tapping very quickly in those situations. But the problem with jiu-jitsu is that it's so difficult in the beginning. Like, you're going to get beat up and lose for months and months of time. The way it was explained to me is that, you know, you start and you're basically the nail. You're the nail. You know, you're getting beat up. You're the nail, and you know, you go to class every day and you're the nail. You're the new guy. You're getting beat up. You're losing. You're learning. You know, and then one day, months down the line, you're the hammer, and you slowly start to, like, get better. That's when it really becomes addicting, is when you first start to show success. So Baba just broke lows, got down to 74s. But once you start to show that success, it's very addicting. Again, I'm really good at, like, guillotines. Like, my guillotines are, you know, on point, I think. I set them up, and I'm really trappy with guillotines. Like, if we're no gi, I do, like, a lot of collar ties. I'll wait for somebody to shoot in, guillotine them. That's kind of my trap. That, or I'll get somebody's back standing up. Like, standing up, I'll have somebody's back. I'll have their back, and I'll make them think that I'm gonna, like, trip them. And instead, I'll spin around, grab their neck, and guillotine them. You know, it's kind of my trap. It's fun. It's like chess. It's like human chess. Anyways, Tesla at 189.70s. Will AMC have a squeeze soon? I really don't know. All right, guys. Palantir back over the 200 EMA. Again, Baba breaking down lows again here. Down under lows for Baba. Certainly not looking pretty for it. I might add a little bit more to it, though, and then just sit on it. I got to have a risk level. I think my risk level is going to be like 65 for this position. But I'll fix my average a little bit. We're still green nicely on the day, so that's all right. Tesla's helping us out. Why will Alibaba? I don't know if it's going to close green. It could. I mean, these moves aren't really much. Previous closing price is 78.20s, and we still haven't even gotten close to market hours yet. So I still think we got a lot of time to potentially do something. I'm new to your channel. Do you focus only on certain stocks? We talk about whatever's moving mostly. If something's moving, we'll cover it. As long as somebody brings it up. We're just kind of reporting news, earnings, market moves. We'll day trade futures. We'll day trade stocks as well. So it just depends. Roblox, what do you guys think? All right, so job postings down 25% over the past year. 31% down in finance, 44% down in software dev. So we're seeing this post regarding Chris Kempczynski, McDonald's CEO, said, quote, low-income customers making less than 45K per year have largely stopped ordering from McDonald's. Big Mac, fries, and drink have risen to almost $18 at some locations. That's high. I haven't eaten McDonald's in years, so I don't know. But I don't know what the prices look like over there, but I ain't buying it, especially for $18. Just a reminder that FU money is not 3 to 6 months of living expensive. Yeah, for sure. What is FU money to you at home, guys? Look at Tesla bouncing back up to 189s, 50s, almost 189.60. Definitely third best in the world right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Five Guys if I'm getting a burger like that. I'm gonna go to Five Guys. ARM drops earnings today, so ARM drops earnings today. FU money to me is like, I would say it's like 10 to 15 mil would be FU money to me. That's enough money to where with correct investments, you could buy bonds. If I had 15 mil, I'd probably take 10 of it and I'd stick it into 50% bonds, 40% equities. Maybe no. I would probably buy, I would buy 40% bonds, 40% equities, 10% precious metals, and crypto, and 10% real estate. Maybe a little bit more heavy on the real estate, but that would probably be my portfolio. Maybe 30% bonds, 30% equities, 10% crypto and precious metals, 20% real estate, something like that. That would probably be my portfolio. And then I'd do whatever I wanted with the other 5. All right, guys. Hey, we got 30 minutes until the market opens. 30 minutes. All right, so again, Tesla trying to make a bounce back up. It's trying. Starting at 5 mil. 10% to the church. Listen, if I make enough on my bond payments, I'll give them some, you know. AMD at 169. AMD starting to bounce a little bit. Apple bouncing a little bit too. Tesla back up to almost 190. Palantir at 2150s. Yeah, it depends on what church. Most of them have enough, you know. Like, I think giving is important, and like I said the other day, bro. I really do think that, like, the universe to a certain extent unfolds as it should. I think that Apple just broke pre-market highs right now. Apple over 190.40s, 190.40s. Nvidia just broke over the green level, for the red to green level today. So Nvidia technically green right now at 683 a share, 683 for Nvidia, technically green on the day. AMD at 169s. But yeah, I guess my point is like some of the unhappiest people are usually some of the meanest people, right? Misery loves company, and I think it really is something in which if you put a bunch of negativity out there, if you spend your time like on social media trolling people and like trying to just hurt people because you're hurt, all you're gonna get back in life is just negative things, you know. But if you spread positivity, if you try to do the right thing, you know, I think it's gonna come back tenfold for you, and that's something I really do believe. I don't know if I'll call it karma, but I think I'll call it balance. Is what I'll call it. I think balance is real, and I think if you put out a bunch of negativity, that's what you're gonna get back in your life. You ever watch videos how people win the lottery lose it? It's sad. Yeah, I mean 100%, dude. But I feel bad. Like all they gotta do, it's really not that hard to keep money like that. Again, the problem is that they treat it like it's unlimited, and it never is, right? But if you take half of that money and you put it in a broad market index fund, bonds, real estate, gold, and you sit on it, you're gonna be fine. Like you're gonna be fine. If you don't invest it, or you invest too small of a portion of it, that's when you're in trouble. You know, so it's all about smart money management. You have to diversify your investments and hedge against inflation long term. Because if you don't, within 10, 15 years, it's going to be worthless. You know, we talked about it before, but if you win a lump sum, if you win the lottery, you should never take the monthly payments. You know, that's for dumb people. Never take the monthly payments. Not unless you are just so financially irresponsible that you're going to do something dumb if you don't. You always take the lump sum, even if it's 40% less. You take the lump sum and you stick it into bonds. You know, again, a 10-year bond's going to pay you 4% right now. So, again, you take, say you win 20 million, or say you put 20 million into, say you win 40 million. You take half of it, you take 20 mil, you stick it into 10-year bonds. You're going to make 0.4% a year from that. Or you're going to make 4% a year from that, which is going to be around $800,000 a year. $800K a year. You're going to basically make $1 million a year in interest on a 10-year bond. And then at the end of that 10 years, you're going to get your 20 million back. You know, even if you invested in the S&P 500, right? You take 20 million, invested in the S&P 500. I don't advise this, but compounding, very powerful. Like you take 20 million, say you make 10% a year in the S&P, right? Say you take 25%, you take 10 million, you stick it in the S&P. After the first year, oh wait, my math is off. After the first year, you're gonna have 11 million. With compounding, second year you're gonna have 12 million. Third year, you're gonna have 13.3 million. Fourth year, you're gonna have almost 15 million. 15, you're gonna have almost 16 million. Like you can kind of see how much compounding and appreciation. You know, Warren Buffett labeled compound interest the eighth wonder of the world or whatever. This is why, is because compounding and interest grow money quickly. It's why investing is the biggest edge you'll ever have in markets. Long-term investing in blue chip healthy companies and index funds. And if you're not doing that, at least with a piece of your money, you're making a mistake, in my opinion. But again, not an investment professional, not liable. If you lose, no idea what I'm talking about. John, do you think NVIDIA could hit 1,000? It could. Whether it will is a different story. I think it could. Apple breaking highs right now. So Apple's starting to rip back up. Tesla needs to break 196. Yeah. Apple, guys, look at Apple. Apple with 191s. Tesla over 190s. But look at Apple. Apple's surging this move up. Look at Apple up to almost 191s. Tapped it. So Apple's dragging the market up. Apple's the second heaviest weighted stock in the S&P. Microsoft's up there too. Microsoft at 40770s. What, with Berkshire Hathaway? Well, yeah, Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, but buy whatever blue chip stock you want. You know, sure. Hindsight, we can look at it. Berk is very strong as a company, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit more risky than investing in an index fund, I would say. But everybody's different. Hey, thanks, Freddie. SPY about to break all-time highs. It's not going to technically break all-time highs until the opening bell, but it's right at 496. Look at the SPY. And so if we open up like this, it's going to be an all-time high break. So again, the lifetime high is right here on the SPY. It's getting close. nvda shooting up as well. Tesla bouncing back up too. I understand Underground Famous. If you saw the formula I was using, it took that into account. So again, to calculate that formula, Underground, you would do exactly what I did. You would multiply the outcome by 1.1 per year. Right? So every year you're multiplying the interest plus the principal times 1.1, which means you're adding 10% to that, including compounding, is the math formula that I'm using here. nvda up to almost 685s. Green on the day for nvda as well. AMD's nicely green. SPY's testing that level. We watched the Q, the NASDAQ. The Q is the NASDAQ 100. We certainly watch it. But again, the reason we're not looking at it now is because, I mean, actually the Q's about to break lifetime highs as well. If it can get up to another 30 or 40 cents, it's close. Is Tesla ripping right now? Guys, is Tesla ripping? It's up to 190. Let me know. Is Palantir a blue chip stock? No. Palantir is a mid cap, I would call it. It's not a small company. It's not a blue chip legacy company and listed in the S&P. But that's okay. High risk, high reward, and we're up in it nicely. So hopefully it continues to move up with AI hype this morning. What is happening? Any specific news? Let me see. I don't think so. Whoa. What happened to my camera? Oh, my bad. Oops. All right. We had a wholesale used vehicle index come out. Orsted, Alibaba. Apple reportedly building prototypes of at least 2 iPhones that fold widthwise like a clamshell, according to the information citing sources. So basically, Apple is making a Z Fold like phone. Like I have the Samsung version of this, like this. So Apple's making something like this. You know, but they're doing it. I don't like the clamshell versions of it. I like the other versions. But that news just came out about Apple, and that's probably what's surging it up. There's the news right there in the chat. AMC. Yeah, AMC has earnings sometime this month, I think. And it's up a lot yesterday, too, so hopefully it continues. But AMC, I'm trying to see when they drop earnings. All right, so AMC drops February 28th. February 28th. GameStop, March 6th. So we still got some time. NVIDIA is the 21st. Again, SPY testing that lifetime high. We still got 20 minutes here, team. 20 minutes. I like the Z Fold. I've had it for years. So I've had the Z Fold for years, you know, and I like it a lot. I could trade stocks on it. I could watch movies on it. It's really nice, in my opinion. Do you think Apple will go under 73? I think it could. And do you think Baba will go under 73? It could. I'm not sure if it will. I hope it doesn't. I'm in it right now. You know, I hope it doesn't, but it's certainly possible. It's close enough to that to where it's possible. But Apple doesn't move much. I don't know. I disagree. I think Apple moves a lot. Again, my average price in Apple is 181s, low 180s. It's at almost 191s. So we're up a decent percentage. We're up like 5%. A little bit more than 5%. We're up like 6%. I don't know the math there, or I guess I kind of do. Let me see my gains here. We're up like 6%. I think if my math is right, we're up 6% just by eyeballing it. So from 181s to 191s. Yeah, we're up 5.6%, so roughly 6%. Top 3 mathers in the world right now. All right, guys, so there's the SPY right at the lifetime highs at 496.05s. It's technically not lifetime highs until the market opens. Technically not lifetime highs until the market opens, but still. Yeah, the pictures are great. If you take a picture of the moon on this phone, it's crazy good. Like, surprisingly good. According to CNBC, 60% of Americans making $100K a year are broke, living paycheck to paycheck. How, though, bro? Like, I think the biggest problem is people are living well above their means. Everybody wants to look rich, even if they're not. People think they're making $60K a year, they're rich. People think they're making $100K a year, they think they're rich. People are just living above their means, unfortunately. And it really is something in which, like, dude, just live within your means, man. You don't have to look rich. You don't have to, like, everybody kind of knows, like, you know. Again, the very famous quote is, riches yell, wealth whispers. And so I think too many people try to look rich. You know, the famous saying is, don't try to look rich, be rich. You know, who cares how you look? Most wealthy people I know are very quiet. They're not very loud. They don't, you know, they don't flex or flash their money. All right, team. Hey, we got 15 minutes until the market opens. 15 minutes. The older generations, I see it, but it's much more common with younger generations, though, Jared, in my opinion. You ever read Millionaire Next Door? Yeah, I've read it. Basically, the Millionaire Next Door. But here's the problem, right? Okay. The mistake in the Millionaire Next Door's logic is this. All right, the millionaire, basically, to give the book some perspective, the Millionaire Next Door basically says that most modern millionaires drive not flashy cars, have invested money in the market, and use investments and careful financial planning to be millionaires, right? But I think the problem is that we could isolate, I don't know, the problem I have with that book is that it, like, oh, and the problem I have with Dave Ramsey in general, like stuff like Dave Ramsey, is that I think it depends on where you're at. Like, you could say, hey, work a normal job and save up money, and that's great, right? But I don't want to live good when I'm 65. I want to live good now. And if I want to live good now, I have to take risks. I cannot say, hey, let me save up and I'll be a millionaire by 65. No offense to everybody at home, but who cares if I'm a millionaire at 65? Like, I'd like to live good now, you know? And I think to live good now, you have to take risks. And I think the only way you should do that, I think the way that makes the most sense is start your own business. You know, you can get a good job, you can go to college, you can have a great salary, take that money and start your own business. That's how most people are going to have true millionaire wealth type of stuff, is starting their own businesses. You know, now it's super nuanced and there's a lot of other stuff behind it. It's super nuanced and there's a lot of stuff behind it. So there's certainly outliers to this argument. But, you know, I think if you're young, you have to take risks. I don't think that you can just say, hey, I'm going to save up some money and invest. The other thing they don't include in that is, like, a lot of it has to do with inflation. It's really easy to become a millionaire from inflation. You know, over a 20-year period, all you got to do is invest some money in the market and let compound interest take you there. but it's going to take 20 or 30 years to get there. And then at the same point in time, that amount of money is not going to be as much buying power as it was 20 years ago. So a millionaire is not that cool today. Like, it's not that impressive today, in my opinion. And I think that's what the millionaire next door gets wrong, is that like anybody can use compound interest and save and live under their means. And that's great. I think that's important. But I also think you have to take risks if you want to live well when you're young. I think if you ask people, most people want to be wealthy, of course, but I don't think it's going to matter as much when you're almost 70, and you're I just don't think it's going to matter as much. All right, we got 12 minutes until the market opens. Right, 100%. Like, that's my biggest issue. It's like, look, I get it, and I get it. People want to be millionaires, and I get it. But maybe it's just because I'm younger. But being a millionaire now is much more appealing than being a millionaire when I'm 65 and I don't really have much to do. I'd like to live good now, and in order to live good now, you have to take risks. I'm not saying risk everything you have, but I'm saying take smart, calculated risks is what you do. If you have a good job, if you go to college and you have a good job and you have a good salary, take that money and make some risk. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not liable if you lose. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But you take that money, you start businesses. You figure out what you're passionate about. Start a business around that and monetize that is what I would do. And, over time, if you're lucky, and luck is certainly a factor, you'll be able to do it. It's what happened to me. I monetized this YouTube channel. I got to sit here and talk about the stock market every day for a few hours, make more than most people. So, but the other way about it is like monetize your passions, because that's what you're going to have the perseverance and the resiliency to be able to continue pushing when it gets hard. You're still going to be passionate about it regardless of how your business is doing, and it's going to motivate you to keep pushing. If it's something that you're not super interested in, at least me with like ADHD, it's hard for me to focus. And so it's got to be something you're passionate about. Monetize whatever that is. And I'm not talking about taking risks day trading, just to put it into perspective. Oh, for sure. I'm not saying being a millionaire is not an accomplishment, Zachary. What I'm saying is that if you're a millionaire through investing in compound interest over 20 or 30 years, $1 million is going to be noticeably less buying power than it was when you started making those investments. And so, yes, compound interest is a powerful, powerful thing, but you lose the value of your dollars over time. And so a house today is noticeably more expensive than the same house 20 years ago. And so you have to take inflation into account in that regard. And so I guess like my point is investing now so you could be a millionaire in your 20 or 30 years later, it's not going to be as much money as you think it is in that period of time because of inflation. And so if you really want to make money like that, I think investing is not the path to true wealth. I think you'll be able to keep up with inflation, and you might even beat inflation to a certain extent and let your money grow for you. But if you want to live truly well now, I think you have to take risks. You have to start your own businesses. You're not going to get there through just basic investing like that. You might become a millionaire, but again, $1 million is not going to be as much buying power as it is today. SPY just broke lifetime highs, got up to 496.12s. Earnings, Carlos. Yoga mats, hey. That house for 100K is, I think it is 500K pack. So he said, load the bread in 2000. I think it is about the same, I think a $100,000 house in 2000 is about 500K now. Maybe not quite, but close. You know, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be within a reasonable margin of difference. All right, guys, Apple trying to bounce back up. SPY broke lifetime highs. Palantir bouncing back up. It's at 2170s now. All right, the Q moving up to lifetime highs as well, over 430.20s. Wait, what was the previous lifetime high on the Q? Yeah, so 430.24. So we are close to the lifetime high on both the Q and the SPY today again. Do you think the buyback announcement was a smart idea? Yeah, I think so. But again, who knows if it's going to affect them positively long term. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, sure, I know, but what I guess the point though, P, is that he says point is not that the house that went up in value, nor the bread, the dollar, as you were saying, lost purchasing power. 100% inflation happens over time, but you hedge against that inflation again through real estate, through gold, through index funds like the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, through bonds if you want. You know, like you hedge against that inflation, and to a certain extent, it's going to keep up with it to a certain extent, not fully. Maybe more, maybe less, but you're certainly going to make something over a 20-plus period of time, almost certainly, if you diversify into all the major investment assets. Again, index funds, bonds, gold, precious metals, real estate, crypto, whatever you want to invest and hedge against inflation with. Some are riskier than others, but you're going to typically make something. You're almost guaranteed to make money in that way. And so again, my point is, if you're sitting on cash, you're losing money. I say this every day, but I can't say it enough. It's important. Do you think nvda is going to hit 700 today? I think it's possible. It could. You know, we're right under it at 683s. It's still a pretty big gain even for nvda, but it's possible for sure. All right, Apple just broke highs again, hit 191. Real estate is the best investment long term. It depends on where you are, Chase. So like, it depends on where you are. Like in some cities, property tax is very high. Like Texas doesn't have an income tax for the state, but it does have very high property taxes. And so in some places, you're paying 2.2% property tax just to keep your house. You know, so like say you got a house worth, you know, 300K. You're going to be paying $6,600, almost $7,000 a year in property tax, right? So again, for that $300,000 house, say you make rental property wise, say you make what? Let's just make it easy and say $1,000 a month in rent, right? A little bit low, but we'll call it $1,000 a month. We'll call it $15,000 a year, right? You're losing virtually half of that in property tax money, you know? And so, you know, it depends on where you're at for real estate. I mean, the house price is probably going to appreciate and keep up with inflation regardless of rental income and stuff like that. But it's certainly more nuanced than just saying real estate is better, in my opinion, but it's subjective. nvda now over 683s here, over 683s. We got 4 minutes. John, what's your top 5 stocks? My favorite 5? I would say Apple, Microsoft, Walmart, Coca-Cola, and Home Depot. Those are my favorite ones. That's a diversified top 5. The reason I like Home Depot is because I think with mail order shipping with Amazon and Amazon Prime and shipping becoming so efficient, and a lot of people buying things online now as opposed to in brick and mortar retail stores, I think Home Depot and Lowe's are resilient to that because, you know, because to ship a lot of the stuff they have there isn't sensical, right? It's too
it's too expensive and difficult to ship those type of things, and so they're going to be more resilient versus other brick and mortar stores. And so in that regard, I like Home Depot, right? Again, I'm not telling you to buy it, but in that regard, I like Home Depot long term. Apple, one of the most successful companies in the world. Young people love Apple. Again, I could buy my daughter a brand new Samsung phone and she wouldn't take it. She wants an Apple phone. Apple is cool to kids and the younger generations, and so that speaks for future outlook, in my opinion. Microsoft AI hype, operating systems, just huge. Diversifying with both Apple and Microsoft as well is good. Good there. What else did I say? Coca-Cola. People have been drinking Coca-Cola for years. Legacy company, has good earnings, good PE ratio, and has appreciated a lot. And so I like Coca-Cola in that regard. What was the other one I said? I don't remember what the other one I said was, but yeah, that's kind of my list. Costco is better than Walmart. Thoughts? Costco, it's a niche grocery brand. I think one of the things that you're seeing a lot nowadays is mail order groceries. And so I think that is, a little bit more vulnerable to stuff like Costco and Walmart, but I like Walmart, and I think there's always going to be a convenience factor where you want to go pick it up same day. And so I think, what I'm betting on are things that I have to worry less about obsolescence and, are, again, more resilient to technology and growth like that. So that's why I like Walmart. Walmart was my other one. Yeah, cart could be interesting long term. Sure, but you have competitors to cart. So you have Uber Eats and you have stuff like that. And Uber stuff, you just have a lot of competition for those software companies like Instacart coming out now. But it's still probably safe, but who knows? A little too young for me personally, but good growth, good high risk, high reward, I guess. And again, this is my own opinion. I'm not saying these are going to work or not work. All right, so again, right now we got 1 minute left until the open. The SPY is set to break lifetime highs at the open. The Q is set to break lifetime highs at the open. We'll see if we actually do. But these are all set to break highs here. We'll see what happens. Less than a minute now. All right, so good, guys. 30 seconds here, 30 seconds. All right, so here's the open. Again, look at the SPY at 496.30. So the SPY is going to break lifetime highs at the open. So is the Q. Q is over it now. SPY is now over it as well. Crazy opening bell. We got 5 seconds here, team. 5 seconds. And here's the opening bell. Ding, ding, ding. There's the opening bell. So again, SPY just broke lifetime highs. Q just broke lifetime highs. Watching Alibaba, watching Palantir as well. Apple churning up some. We got to watch like Tesla too. nvda dipped down. Tesla pulled back a little bit. Apple's still ripping up. So again, these still broke lifetime highs though, so they're still over lifetime highs. Okay, so again, Apple starting to churn. Look at this SPY rip. I'm gonna change this a little bit here, team. So I'm gonna put the SPY up here in Baba, and then I'm gonna put some smaller, like a smaller list of charts here, so that we can get a bunch in. Because again, we're gonna be day trading here, so. All right, we're gonna put like a list of 3 right here. Right here. put the major index funds. Alright, that's good. Nvidia's starting to move though. Look at Nvidia here. Nvidia's starting to break over these highs at 685s. Broke highs of after hours. We got the SPY on the left, Apple on the right, Tesla down here at 187s, 188s. Apple down at 190s here. Again, look at the SPY. So the SPY broke lifetime highs. New lifetime high on the SPY is 496.40s. Palantir. Yeah, Palantir, rip it up, guys. Look at Palantir. We're going to put it on the bottom chart. Look at PLTR. Let's try to make a move. I'm going to have to exit out of some stuff. I'm noticing some lag here. Alright, there we go. Alright, Palantir dipping down. Nvidia very flat. We've actually had a really flat day at the opening bell. But I'd like to see... Wait. Wait, is anybody... Like, dude, where's my trading windows right here? Weird, dude. That's so strange. Well, I guess I'm on a trade. I gotta put it on this left side. I'm gonna buy a little bit of the SPY here. Or no, I guess I'll sit. Maybe I'll buy the Q. So we're gonna buy the Q here, right at the volume weighted average price. See if we get a little bounce. Buy 20 shares. Alright, so we're in 45 shares of the Q. I'll add another 5, make it even, 50. See if we get a little pop up here. Could add more, maybe take 100, 150 shares. Right at the volume weighted average price. A lot of stuff's starting to flush down, though. Palantir's not, though. Palantir is ripping. Nvidia did dump, though, so that's a bad sign. So, again, we're in this position looking to maybe average in. Palantir is starting to look good, though. Look at Palantir rip. I like these down wicks here right at the VWAP. We are battling this level. I'll take 100 shares of the Q just now. So, we got 100 shares of the Q. Watching Tesla very closely here. I'm going to get out of this. I don't like the fact that Tesla is cracking down towards lows. I don't like that sign. So I'm going to cut out half of the trade. And then if we bounce, great. Just scalping a little bit of profit at the open. Got up to 430, whole dollar level. Alright, so look at NVIDIA bounce back. Look at Palantir run here, team. Wow, Palantir just tapped 22s. Alright, so we're going to add a little bit more of our size back. Use the cushion we have on the day to take some larger risks. There's 75 shares. Go ahead and get it 100 shares again. Nvidia's starting to flush back down, so I'm going to take half off here and just protect the trade. I do see Nvidia start to dump down if you look at this bottom right chart. Let's scalp a little bit more out there. Again, we're pretty close to the opening bell, so we're just kind of horsing around playing with these. I don't like this Nvidia flush down here. There goes Tesla back up a little bit. We'll add some more. We got 50 shares again. You can see we're doing what's called scalping. All right, so we're up 20 bucks. Small little gains, but we're only 5 minutes after the open, so this will get us started. Palantir shooting up to over 22s. Wow. Again, Palantir just broke highs at 22.20. You see the volume weighted average price level, how influential that is? Like, this was our plan. We bought that dip and it held really nicely. Where's Baba? I'm sorry, let me pull up Baba. There's Apple on the top right. Nvidia's starting to break down. Baba is back up to 75, so you'd love to see it. Let's see if it holds. Tesla bouncing back a little bit, but struggling to get over the volume weighted average price. Palantir is still ripping up though. And again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. If you see how I'm day trading the QQQ right here, you can do this in futures. No PDT rule. You can't day trade the Q directly, but you can trade the NASDAQ 100, which is what the Q is based around. So it's the same price action, no PDT rule. In order to do this in stocks and take this type of size, I probably needed close to $100,000 just now. Maybe not. I probably needed 40 or 50K in hindsight. But again, you can do so in futures with much less money, with much less risk. Top Step gives you a demo and they test your skill. If you can pass the test on the demo, they give you a 50K demo for the base one. The top one's a 150K demo. It gives you a little bit more room as well. But if you can hit the profit target without hitting the max loss, and it's a very reasonable ratio, if you can pass that test, they fund you the same amount as the demo. So the base one's 50K. It's only 49 bucks. If you pass it, you get 50K in funding with a 90% split. Once you're funded, if you make 10K, you get to keep 9 of that, which is 90%. They get to keep 1,000 since they're funding you that money. And this is the most legit one in the world. They pay out millions, fund thousands of traders a year, pay out millions in actual withdrawals. And so again, a great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. And if you lose, you're only out 49 bucks. But if you're good enough to pass it, you get between 50 to 150K in funding. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in their favor because they pay me money. But again, I think it's a great way to learn how to day trade. And if you're good enough to pass it, you can get started with a very small amount of money and potentially start taking withdrawals within a week. And so again, if you want to check it out, there's the link. Palantir's flying up right now, flying up. Look at Baba testing the 200 EMA and the volume weighted average price. Where's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin's still at 43. Nvidia just cracked lows. Nvidia is one of the weaker stocks today. Look at the Q breakdown under the volume weighted average price now. So we could work a short around this now. Look at Palantir rip though. Palantir's moving. You know, this is only like the first plug we've done today, and it took, you know. So this is the first plug we've done today. But Palantir still testing these highs. What a crazy move. Look at Nvidia breakdown here. Nvidia's looking weak. Look at the Q breaking lows here, team. Mostly from Nvidia's flush down. Nvidia's looking weak. That's breaking everything else down. Another one of my sponsors is a company called Chart Prime. If you look at this, look at all the sell signals, or look at how powerful the strong signals are. So this is a trading view service you can use in stocks, crypto, forex, futures, whatever you want to use it on, you can use this. And again, I can't guarantee you're going to make money. Nobody can. But look at how genuinely powerful this is. This is a 1 minute chart. Look at the sell signal here, dip. The strong signals are really powerful. Look at the strong buy signal. Look at how long this upward trend lasted on a 1 minute chart. Genuinely impressive. This one you could say didn't work. But again, even if we keep moving back here, like, look at this strong signal here. Beautiful bounce. Beautiful bounce. And then again, look at the sell signal here. Beautiful dip. This one didn't work. This one worked. So 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 out of 6 didn't work. So 4 out of 6 worked. So genuinely impressive. 60+%. Sell signal dip. And again, test it on any time frame. Like, another time frame I like using is an hour time frame. So here's the S&P 500. Let's put it on an hour chart. But again, so it's not going to work all the time on everything. Nothing will. But you can find signals that work for you and figure out the right way to do it. Like, here's an hourly chart. Look at it. This one's genuinely impressive too. So look at the hourly chart, right? Like, let's take a look at all of these over the last few days. Look at this. So a strong buy signal here, beautiful bounce. Sell signal there, hours of breakdown. Strong buy signal there, nice little bounce. Sell signal here. These are hourly charts, so hours. This one didn't work. Strong buy, sell signal, beautiful drops. Look at the buy signal here, and then look at the days and days of bullish action afterwards. And so again, I think if you backtest this yourself, you'll realize how impressive this is. Like, look, here's more. Sell signal, nice little drop. Buy signal, beautiful bounce. Sell signal, nice little drop. You can see it changes the color of the candles as well. Buy signal, nice little bounce. This sell signal didn't work, but this strong buy signal down here, beautiful bounce. This sell signal got a little bit of a drop. You could say that one didn't work if you want, but look at the strong buy signal coming in hours and hours ago. Beautiful bounce. Again, genuinely impressive. Try it out on whatever symbol you want. It's only 40 bucks a month, I think, or roughly 40 bucks a month if you use my link. nvda is starting to bounce back up. They are a sponsor though, and again, guys, like I always say, for disclaimer purposes, remember, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Wildly wrong about everything. You know, not liable if you lose money. Always be safe. Trade smart. Yeah, again, if you want to know why I put this up, number one, it's a running joke of the channel. You know, 'cause somebody kept asking me this, even though I would answer it and say, hey, it's a running joke of the channel. It's also a disclaimer, like liability-wise, nobody can touch me if I tell them I have no idea what I'm talking about. But, yeah, remember. All right, so again, we've been mostly choosing to day trade stocks today. NVIDIA's starting to reel back up. Looks good. Disney falling down this morning. Wonder if that's bad or good. Or no, Disney's back up a little bit today. Okay. Palantir still looking lovely up here. Tesla's starting to come back down. NVIDIA's starting to bounce back up too. Let's get this out of the way. So again, we're trying to make moves. All right, guys. Yeah, top 3 disclaimers of all time, 100%. Definitely top three disclaimers in the world. Palantir had one of the rippiest rips I've ever seen in the markets right now. One of the rippiest rips I've ever seen. Top 3 rips for sure. Tesla just cracked lows of market hours. It's still green on the day. 185 was the previous closing price, so it's still green on the day. The Q is right around the 200 EMA level. Oh well, yeah. Of course it's gonna have wrong signals, Paul. Nothing's like I said. It's never. Nothing's gonna work all the time, right? Including that. That's not a reasonable expectation for it. Like, listen, bro. You think if anybody had something that was always right, they would be billionaires right now. You'd never see them. But nothing works all the time. It takes skill to recognize what's working, identify, learn what's working, and then attack that with discipline, right? Like, that's what all trading is. Palantir getting ready to break highs again, it looks like. NVIDIA going all the way back to green on the day. I'm not sure what it's going to go up to. Apple turning on the day too, so Apple's starting to dump down a little bit. Again, I'm so green on Apple. I'm going to take a little bit more off just to protect my trades because I'm already up so much in it. There's a market order. All right, so we just took a little bit more off. We'll hold a little bit left. NVIDIA's trying to go green. It's still really early in the day. Oh, 100%. I'm just saying, I'm on the Discord and people are mad at that because they went all in on a strong signal. Yeah, I mean, the reality is people are gamblers, right? Again, I talked about it before, but if they weren't here trading stocks, they'd be putting it all on red and roulette. You're going to have good and bad variance, right? You could have the best technical indicator or signal in the world right now and, you know, it not work. Just like in poker, you can have somebody with pocket aces lose to 6-7 offsuit. It's variance, right? But over the long run, in poker, if you're a good poker player and you zoom out, you're going to make money. most likely. And in trading, if you do things correctly and you have discipline, you're going to have short-term variance. You're going to do everything right and still lose. But over the long run, you should make money in it, you know. Again, I'm not guaranteeing you're going to make money in it or anything like that. Palantir breaking highs. Looks good. Anyways, guys, I'm going to roll out of here. I got some stuff I got to do today, team, so I got to get out of here, guys. So y'all be safe. Y'all be good. Love you all. Check out our sponsors. Again, you want to check out Chart Prime, link is in the description. You want to check out Top Step and get exposure to day trading with limited risk. No PDT in futures. You can day trade short. Top Step has the most legit funded program in the world. You can check both of those out in the description. Although they are sponsors of mine, I'm incredibly biased in their favor because they pay me money. But again, if you want to check it out, again, I'll post this, or you can check out the links in the description. I'll see you guys later. Be good. We'll be back tomorrow, bright and early. Tomorrow we got jobless claims, unemployment filings, and a bunch of other stuff. So be ready. Team, be ready. Jobless claims, unemployment tomorrow. Yeah, should be fun. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Yeah, I gotta get out of here. Like I said, I got a family obligation I gotta handle today. So yeah, y'all be safe. Nvidia breaking highs, Palantir and AI stocks looking good. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.